Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table. I'm sorry, the Soul Citizens. Welcome to Soul Citizens Podcast. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender.
Peace, love, and soul, y'all. Peace, love, and soul.
Every so often, the Captain's Table just gets taken over by another podcast. So this is just now the Soul Citizens Podcast. Sometimes it's the Info Runners. Sometimes, way back, it used to be the Relay Station. So. But this is a podcast dedicated to bringing people all over the Star Citizen universe to talk about Star Citizen, about the latest news. Sometimes we do specific things like, what is it called? Theory crafting, or we talk about, hopes, dreams. We kind of go all over the place. And as I like to say, we are the second oldest podcast, now over 8 years old, with over 100, almost 200 episodes at this point. Probably more than 200 episodes at this point. I have stopped counting. There we go. End of March of 2016 was when the first episode went up. So, like March 28th, I think. So,
April, yeah. No, you're talking about, then.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. With that all being said, let's introduce the folks here, and then we'll move on to the topic at hand. We'll start with a face you've seen before, but is probably new-ish. Because I don't think, have you been on the Mini Captain's Table's Fist? I think you've been on one or two, right?
One.
Yeah. So,
With me.
Fist to Face, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm Fist to Face. I'm one half of New Soul with my dad, Pops in Space. We do music. Basically, we've done music for you, Paul,
Yes.
for Lord Maker's Guide. I believe, right? If I'm making
The
sure
complete
that's
history
right?
of Star Citizen
Complete-
lore. Yeah.
Right, complete history of Star Citizen lore. We did the Halloween. I forget the name of it. I'm so sorry, Paul. I am bad at that.
Oh,
we did-
the was that the one? Yes, that was the one with the missing settlers of Stanton. This true story
Right.
of the first settlers and the
Correct.
what's
Yes.
it called? I can't remember the name of it. That one that was Untold Tales. Yeah, the Untold Tales. intro.
Untold Tales, right. We did. We actually have music that's plays for Soul Citizens intro, and we also did some music for Atmo Esports. Their Stanton 7, I believe, intro for their stream. Right now, man, I'm brain fart. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah,
That's a lot.
Yeah, big one.
Talk about the crew, the crew.
Right, the crew. That's right. There you go. Sorry about that. We did some machinimas. Big one that we just did was, we call it the crew. It's basically surrounds these group of young ladies from the verse. People that you guys know: Buster, Alfie, Citizen Her. All of these fantastic young ladies of Star Citizens community, and they went into Pyro to do some exploration and stuff like that, and it was a really cool project. We have definitely another project with them coming up soon, and we have one working with Maiden coming up soon. We also did the sound effects for Maiden Ariana's Star Citizen. So if you guys play that and you hear all of the little explosions and the ships flying around, and that's me and Pops. So
Y'all been busy.
yeah, still are.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and you'll be hearing their audio in part 4 of the complete history of Star Citizen lore, which is people keep asking me when part 4 is coming out because it's been like a year plus since I dropped the last episode, and it's like I just finally finished it, and Uriah, my editor, has it, and so I'm sure he'll hand it off to Fist and them, him and Pops when it's all ready to go. So
Looking forward to it.
I'll let me put it this way: when ever since they started doing the music for that series, Fist has been like, which one's the Tavaran one? Which one's the Tavaran one? I want to do the Tavaran one. Was it Tavaran or was it the
Tavaran?
The Tavaran. Like,
Yeah.
I want it. So you're gonna get something extra special and spicy for the Tavaran.
Sounds
one.
good.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I'm telling the people that you're gonna lay it on thick with the Tavarans. So
I'm gonna try to.
yeah.
How thick?
Do you want me to do? You want me to do it? Because I'm going to do it.
Do it. Go ahead.
Do it.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Extra thick. Gotta do the meme. Gotta love me some Samurai Jack. All right. With that all being said, Captain Serious Fun, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Look at disappointment.
No. Hi, everybody. Captain Serious Fun. I almost forgot who I was. We do space, sword, sport, and cyber gaming on Twitch, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 7 to 10 Eastern Time. I began this journey 3 months ago after being launched really by the Soul Citizens. Fast Cart and Griff brought me on board to the Soul team. I am now developing my co-executive producer chops with Soul Citizens in partnership with Fast Cart and Griff to take some of the load off of that team. And so I'm there. I also do long form YouTube videos. The first one was called Moonshot, about the idea that Star Citizen is the first quadruple A game of all time, no matter what the
one to do that.
No matter what the Ubisoft CEO says afterwards, right? And the most recent one was one with Griff called Do Whatever You Want, examining Star Wars Galaxies, its rise and fall, and how it informs Star Citizen as the next big space MMO where you can do whatever it is you want.
Nice.
And then, of course, Hot Space Opinions on Twitch, as always. So great to be here again.
This is your second time, right?
That's correct. And while it's not Darge and HC Vertigo, it's the Soul Citizens version of that. So I'm excited for all that.
Yeah, welcome. Well, I'm just going to put you in with the most difficult crowd. Next, it's going to be like Buster and
HC Vertigo.
Yeah, Vertigo or Fast Card
Nazareth.
or Nazareth. Yeah, it was Buster and Naz. So we'll throw you to it just to see like progressively harder to see if Captain SF can deal with it.
Yeah. I was pledging for the table.
But it's funny you pick up a point. You talk about the Star Wars Galaxies, because at CitizenCon I talked to a couple of different developers, and more than a few of them said that their favorite online sandbox MMO was Star Wars Galaxies. So I do know that some of that inspiration from Galaxies is gonna end up in Star Citizen, just because of the number of people who were either inspired by it or played it when they were, when it was active, who now work at Star Citizen, they work at CIG. So some of them are pretty large names too. I don't want to put them out there because I don't know how much they want to know, people know about it, but like a couple of the lore folks who were like, yeah, I love Star Wars Galaxies. So
exciting.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, we have the official ambassador, the Neelix of Star Citizen, and Mr. Black Jurassic himself, Mr. Fastcart. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Hello, everyone. I am Fastcart, also known as FC, and welcome to the sequel of Two Brothers, One Astropub. This is Three Brothers, One Astropub. And I'm part of Soul Citizen, and tomorrow we are celebrating our 200th episode. And I'm just here because next week Fairstall is here, and I want to make sure Paul calls him Fastcart all the time.
See, I have a problem. I've discovered this since I've been a teacher for the last 10 years. I realized that if you have two people who look completely different, but they have the first two letters have the same name, I will confuse them endlessly forever. So, because we have Fairassault with FA and Fastcart with FA, I'm like, oh, they're the same person. It's like my brain just doesn't process that idea. It doesn't help that you're both awful trolls. So, it makes it even worse. It's like, wait, is that something that Fairassault said or something Fastcart said? They probably could have both said it. It's equally offensive. I don't know.
That is my contribution to demonetizing or ruining Paul's show in the first 5 minutes. So there's more to go.
Yeah. All right. So the topic for today is going to be, I titled this 3.23 and beyond. And the reason why I called it 3.23 and beyond is because 3.23 is out in Wave 1. It's Wave 1, so it's very Wave 1. And there's also, I would say, about something like half of the 3.23's projected contents aren't even in the game yet, or in 3.23 yet. And then on top of that, CIG started selling CitizenCon tickets, a brand new way of doing it in terms of like how they've split things up. So I figured it'd be a good thing to just kind of sit down and talk about 3.23 now, how it is, kind of where we think it's going to go, how that's going to affect the release of 4.0, and then how CitizenCon is going to work, or your thoughts on CitizenCon going forward. So let's start off with just your first kind of impressions on 3.23 now that it's out in live and people can play it and you can see it and that sort of thing. So I'll start with you, Fastcart. What are your first impressions of 3.23?
I am scared for when it goes live because I'm gonna spend 6 hours, at least 4 hours in the character creator just by itself. And it's an impressive character creator. I'm stealing everyone's answer. I'm sorry. Everyone's gonna go to character creator, I'm sure. One thing I am missing is, well, we're probably talking about this later, but persistent hanger. I want to see that come in. But yeah, we can talk more about that later. That's my first initial impression.
It's just really what you're looking forward to the character creator. You're impressed by it.
I'm looking forward to character creator. I'm not really. I'm not really looking forward to emancipation mode. I'm not going to call it the other name, even though we had Black History Month a couple of months ago. The star map rework and the UI changes, those are pretty good. I'm still in one answer. So I want to give other people a chance to do that.
Cat Mess Up, your initial thoughts of 3.23.
Yeah, no. A level of applause, right? Replication layer enabled, recovery enabled. Some of these technical feats that matter are there, even though they're a little bit janky. They're running a little bit slow sometimes, but just a level of applause for that. My dad I love to quote my dad. My dad comes up with a lot of crazy quotes. And one of the quotes he came up with for me was like, son, every single thing educates. Are you student enough to listen and learn, right? So for me, what we're seeing in 3.23 really educates us to the thinking of CIG and where they want to go with this game as it becomes a game. And so both the implementations and the reaction of the community is educating to me a lot. I've heard more language from the community that this is now beginning to be a game than I've heard since 3.0, right? That's the last time you sort of heard that sentiment a lot. But I'm enjoying, and so what other things that are educating me are like, well, cruise control went away. Well, they didn't stumble over the C key and delete it, right? They did it for a reason, right? Yeah. So what are they trying to tell us with taking cruise control away about what they want us to experience in master modes? Because my initial reaction is I hate that, right?
Yeah.
But my second reaction is, all right, well, what are they trying to say, right? So things like that. But, I'm enjoying the Moby Glass rework when I can see it, right? It's all Wave 1 stuff, right? It's blurry. I'm enjoying the star map. I love the local to global scrolling of the star map. I think that's incredible. I want the search bar to always be there, right? Little things, right? The interior maps and when we get them and when we don't get them, right, is instructive to me, right? We went to a distribution center against that distribution center's will yesterday. And
is that legal?
It ended up being very illegal. But no map, right? So then we're looking for a place where we can get the blueprint because of what we saw at CitizenCon. So all this stuff is re-educating us to where they want to go, and I'm enjoying the journey.
Awesome.
And Kappa, I think we all know that I never learn.
Everything educates. Fastcart is the rejection of
Soul
that.
Deception, pun intended.
Fist, how about you?
Yes.
What's your initial reactions for 3.23?
Well, before I say my initial reactions with 3.23, my dad has a saying. He says, "Son, you just dumb." Anyway, no, I'm just playing. But anyway,
Best joke so far. Best joke so far.
So nah, he didn't say that. I'm just playing pops out there. But no, my initial reaction to it, I'm optimistic. I tried to go in, it was buggy for me. Man, I got to the elevator, I couldn't even see my mouse pointer. It was gone. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Me and Pops tried to get to the elevator and we got stuck in the elevator. I was like, okay, this ain't working. All right, we gotta go. So I'm it's bugs like that I'm kind of used to, but I know they'll iron it out. As far as the timeline or the timetable for them, like you said, trying to get it out before Invictus. Ooh, hopefully it's not gonna be a hot 318 mess, but we'll see. I'm optimistic, and I want to be. I want it to be the best because that means it's going to be better for us in the long run and our experience for the game. So that's my sense on it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm similar. It came in hot. 3.23 came in hot. You could boil an egg on the exterior of 3.23. How quickly that came in, because it only came in this Wednesday, so it's only been out for a little bit. But it is very rough around the edges. There's a lot to do, and it's still missing a lot of the components, which I think make it very important and very impactful patch. So far, it's nice. Pretty much, the one thing I will say about 3.23 is that everything looks and feels fine. It's like an overpaint of what we already had. The only issue I have with it is it's the server backend. It's just really wonky right now. And that could be a number of different reasons. But it's wave one. That's the kind of thing that happens. It's not always going to be the best thing that comes out there. And I have a feeling, I hope this isn't the case, but we're going that the real issue, the real thing is that it's going to be how to put it? It's going to be it has to be pushed out for Invictus. It's one of those that's got to happen, and CIG has already kind of locked it in with trying to get Retaliator out for 3.23.1, which is almost certainly the Gold's Pass, which is almost certainly for Invictus because they want to release it then. And one of the big things that's important to note for everybody is, because I've heard people say, oh, well, 3.23 was always going to be the Invictus patch. If it was, we would have seen Invictus signage put up everywhere. Mm-hmm. But there is no Invictus signage, as far as I know, in 3.23, which means that it's not intended to be the Invictus patch, because they have to put that in well in advance and test it as part of the testing in order to make sure it works. So,
good point.
So there's some questions about it, and I think that's where we'll go into that as well. I'll start with you, Fist, for this question, which is, do you think all of the aspects that are currently listed as coming out in 3.23 base, like things like the reputation improvements, the personal hangar module, or the personal hangars, the persistent hangars, the cargo elevators, if those are all going to be making it into 3.23 base? Because right now, none of those, for those who don't know, none of those are, as of this recording, none of those are in the game yet. So, and there's some people say, oh, it'll be delayed for a later release or something else like that, because, there's other options, and it's just really rough right now. But, it's wave one. There's still several weeks away, so I kind of want to hear people's kind of opinions on that. So, Fist, do you think we're going to get all of that in still?
All right. So I'm gonna give two things to say to that. My personal wants would be, yes, I would want those things to be in there, but my realistic side is going to say no, because if it is the way it is now, with all of the issues that it's having, then I got to kind of look at it from, a realistic point of view and say, you know what, they may have to pull back on some things, which I'm okay with,
Okay. Captain SF, do you think we're going to be seeing any of these missing features coming in 3.23 base?
I think, we're going to see the vast majority of them.
Okay.
With the wonk that we're experiencing in these early waves. right? So they're gonna get across the finish line, but it'll be like me after a marathon, right? Like I finished, but I got across the line half
But at
dead.
what
I
state
want to
though?
die. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. I'm ugly. I want to die.
Yeah.
And I'm broken for the next 4 weeks. Don't ask me to do anything, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting on the release view is what's committed versus what remains tentative.
That's not gonna look at that.
And there's the committed is very light, but there are things that are tentative that we're playing with.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a very dynamic, I think, situation in that. But your take on how we can see from the outside CIG's intent around bring this home before Invictus, I think is why we got Wave 1 so quickly when it still felt kind of evocati, right? Is they're just accelerating this schedule, right? So I think, yes, we're going to get most things, probably 80-90% of things, but I'm not sure this Invictus will be the one to introduce new players to the game.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Not
fine
sure
anyway.
that this is the one, right? I think
gonna
maybe
try
in the
anyway.
summer, yeah, they're going to tell everybody to do it. I'm sure it'll be a free fly, but I don't know.
Cap, even during the summer, they're gonna try to get 4.0. That's gonna be even worse.
Oh
my
boy.
gosh.
Well, I think we'll come to that, but if the tech work is done now, 4.0 might be a straightforward set of implementations, right? On top of steady tech.
I mean,
We'll see.
We'll see.
we'll see.
You've already got evocati going through the jump point, right?
Yeah.
Without all the graphics and everything else. So
We'll
that's one of the worst things to say on a podcast is we'll see, because people knew before they got on there to watch us that we will see.
We will see.
Yeah, they knew that already, but
I do think it's also an interesting, you bring that up because you also brought it up earlier about the discussion that the community is having about how Star Citizen is becoming a game with a lot of these changes, like, master modes being implemented, the new changes to the FPS. A lot of these things are pushing Star Citizen to a game that it's going to be. And I think it's an interesting dynamic where Star Citizen CIG is actively building a game beyond just a universe, and the patch that they're building the game probably isn't the game you want players to play, right? There's their first impression, because it's going to be rough to be pushed out the door. And I think there's definitely a discussion to be had about how much of Star Citizen is being developed now, because there's a lot of drama in the community about the changes. And
really?
Star Citizen drama?
That's new.
No, never. But a lot of that drama I personally have always been expecting it, because I knew, I guess a couple of years ago, and I think a lot of us did, when CIG started to kind of really get down into the nitty gritty and just kind of really sort of build the game, start those processes of building that base for what the gameplay loops will look like, with things like salvage and mining, like what Star Citizen was moving towards. And I think there's a lot of people who jumped in 2020 or jumped in even earlier, who had a vision of Star Citizen of where it was going to be. That is not going to be the vision of what Star Citizen is going to be. And I think there's going to be a lot of that sort of realization going forward.
You at Griffin Gaming RPG have, I think, captured this idea that, and folks like Kaizen and Black Sky Legion have talked about this as well. The idea that back when this was a dream, you had 1 million people with 1 million dreams.
Yeah.
Right. But at some point, it's got to come into frame, right? And the frame will be Chris Roberts' vision, and that will exclude some dreams.
Yeah.
Right. And will people be able to go from their dream to the vision that's being delivered, or will they say, "I dreamt this thing, and your vision is so outside my dream, I can't deal with it."
Yeah.
Right. It's no longer for me. It's going to be very interesting, and we're in that process. Sorry, Pastor.
Yeah.
And part of the, I don't want to say let me say issue is that the media is trying to say that Chris Roberts is doing it wrong. He's not making this game fun for everybody, and the media hasn't been there. Some of them hasn't been there since the beginning and said, no, Chris Roberts isn't making a game for us. He's making a game for him. He said it. He want to make this game. Yeah, this is what he said in the original video. But a lot of people haven't seen it, or they got it in their mind that this is supposed to be a game for everyone. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely there's a process. In like most artistic forms, you'll hear people say trust the process, because the reason why they say trust the process is because, especially people who've gone through that a little bit more, whatever you have, what your idea is and what the final product is going to be from that idea are never the same thing.
No.
Like
you're with the wrong crowd to say trust the process with, because we've seen the process other things. Just saying.
Artistically speaking, Fastcart. Artistically speaking.
Okay.
Because when you come up with an idea, I think, and I think a lot of people can relate to this idea, where like you have an idea of what you want to do, and then you come up with these great kind of ideas or concepts or other things like, oh, it could have this or that or this. And then you start to actually work on that idea, paint the painting, work on the song, write the book, put the game code together, start collecting money and actors to start filming or get a theater set up. Any of those, that part, once you start actually putting it together, you find the limitations, you find what works and what doesn't work. And even if you can do something, sometimes just because you can do it doesn't mean it's going to be a good thing. Like I've had plenty of videos that I've done where I, went in and did tried to get a bunch of different shots for a specific, say, like history video, lore video on something. And I was like, oh, I'll go into the game and get this shot, and look at, and then I did it, and I got the shots the way the angles and everything I thought it would be. And then I put it to everything I had, and I'm like, this doesn't work. This doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good. It looks cool, but it doesn't work with what I want. So I have to like toss it. And what CIG is doing is that scaled up. And so we're going to see a lot of that, I think, is that a lot of even the things that Chris Roberts wanted back in 2016 is probably not going to be in there, because the process of making games is not a simple, clean one. It's dirty. It's messy.
And human beings, they live and they die and they get tired. Right. And so you could imagine that Chris Roberts might have been like, with the first 4 or 5 things he was confronted with, where devs in and out of his own community said that can't be done, or it can't be done yet. The first 4 or 5 times he says, well, what would be required to get it done? What kind of tech or what kind of innovations in tech would we need to do to get it done? And that gets us to this point, right? Yeah. With the unique ways in which Star Citizen and CIG are using tech. But there might be 6 or 7 additional questions where he's like, I'm tired. Let's make the game. Let's make the game, right? Yeah. We've done a lot of innovations. Star Engine is putting things together in a way that has an opportunity to challenge the industry. Let's make the game now. So it could also be that arc as well, right?
Yeah.
Where he can still see additional things that they could take another 10 years to innovate on, but he recognizes that, in human scale of time, that might just. This was already absurd, right?
Yeah.
So
let's get this done and then move forward, kind of idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll be quick in my answer to Paul's question. I think people have been asking for the Jesus patch for years now. Mm-hmm. We may finally have the Holy Ghost patch. So I think a lot of people will be happy. Some people may not be happy, depending on what your beliefs are.
Do you think it's we're going to see everything this patch, though? Everything that was supposed to come in 3.0?
There'll be like it's like people have said before, maybe 80%, 75% we'll get through it, maybe.
Okay, it's like right now we're at like 50%.
Right.
So,
it depends on how late they want 3.23 to come out, in my opinion. The later it comes out, the more they can get in. If they want to get it out sooner, fewer steps will be in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the obvious answer, right?
Yeah.
Well, didn't Jared say that the summertime is going to be the road to 4.0? So I mean, you got to think about it.
Yeah. Well,
That's an indication right there.
And it's important to also remember that for CIG, summer ends in September. So
Right.
So
Yeah.
like,
there's also a psychology to this thing, a psychology to the rollout, right?
Right.
Giving people the character customizer really satiated a lot of people in terms of their ability to engage on other things. People were able to stay in that thing for a couple hours, hang out, try out things. You give people instance hangers and persistence, and people able to take their stuff and put it in their hangar and know that they can come back to their hangar and see their stuff and start laying out their personal space. Those two things psychologically give a lot more space in people's minds for the next steps and the jankiness and the other things than some other things might, right? So I think they are probably thinking about that as well. Like, all right, well, if we're going to be slow on some other stuff, what can we accelerate that's going to engage most people most of the time, and have them feel like, oh, this is a new thing to fully enjoy that has depth, right? And so I think there's a psychology to the rollout as well. So
yeah, getting that out.
You hit on a good point, though.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry. No, I was saying you hit on a good point, because if folks are concentrated on those two things, like you said, the character creator and your hanger, right? Those things that take up a lot of your time. You'll probably dismiss all of the bugs that are out there in there. If those two things are working right there alone, I mean, that's going to be hours of gameplay already.
If your shining city on the hill is only reputation, then it doesn't matter. You're waiting on reputation, right? But there's a lot of folks who are there are a lot of folks who, like me, who are just receiving what comes, and as it arrives, there's things you can play with more than others, right? Like right now, you've got to have really coordinate. I saw Paul earlier with Space Tomato and others. You got to coordinate like a team to like really experience engineering in Arena Commander right now, right? Versus character customizer doesn't require anybody but me, and I can go in for as long as I want, right?
Exactly,
and do whatever I want. So those types of things, I think, will have more potency for more of the community, and they need to think about that in the rollout as well. The other thing I missed really quick that I thought was very important in 3.23 for me was super sampling, DLSS.
Yeah, which is
is it really working?
It worked for me.
It works well enough. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I put it on. Because listen, I got a 4090 in my system.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Did you turn it on? Because there's like a selection option, and then there's an option above it which says turn on.
I said okay. I said, because it says CIG. Yeah. And I made sure I hit that drop down. I said DLSS. I even made sure I said, well, let me put it on, quality, 66%. Yeah. I go into the game. I'm like, man, my frames per second is just tanking. I'm like,
did you have volumetric clouds on reference?
No, I didn't. I looked at everything. I was like, oh my gosh.
There's literally a control right above where the drop down is that says turn it off. It's a toggle off and on for that. So you have to toggle it on.
So just double check that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then do the drop. Because I was doing it too. I'm like, this isn't doing anything. And someone in chat said, toggle it on. And I was like, what? And I looked at the screen. It's like, right above it. It's like this little, do you want to use what is it called? It's not called super sampling. What do they call it in there? It's
called something else. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the DLSS stuff. It's the, that it was, do you want to use it? And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Hit yes. And I did see a little bit of it, but
I saw changes. Yeah. I saw changes in FPS across the same terrain, with quality, with performance, with auto. It wasn't like Digital Foundry dramatic, right? Okay. But there was an improvement. So I expect the quality to get better as well.
A lot of people are commenting on like the God rays look better, the sun rays from a window or whatever.
Lighting is so much better. Like the lighting is
improved. The global illumination is better. All of the game looks better, right? Points of interest and being able to see them from a distance better, being able to see the Stanton skyline, all the planets from wherever you are when you look up. I'm sure that impacts realism a little bit, but it feels good in gameplay. So.
Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to say, early on, you're talking about how like the 4.0 is coming in the summer, and the summer ends on September. So I think we should say September 30th, 4.0 confirmed, or if you want to be really funny, say September 31st.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, that's going to kind of bring us into the next question, but I'll kind of give my 2 cents real quickly. Like, I don't know what's going on with 3.23. I don't know if we're going to see all of this stuff. I do think that CIG, at the very least, is going to be cheeky. What they'll do is they'll have if they can't make it in 3.23 base, they'll put it in 3.231, and they'll just cut it out and then drop it in a later version of the patch. It's still going to be in the patch branch. It's just going to be the later branch version. But it's hard to tell because I don't know what's going on, and I don't think anyone except for CIG really knows fully why the patch is currently the way it is, other than my assumption, which is just the back end servers are struggling right now. Because if anyone who's seen the gameplay, there's a lot of very visual and kind of brain hurty glitches. They're like hitches that happen. So.
And yet the most recent patch has improved some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's daily and it's iterative, and I think we've been here before. Too,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For folks who are newer, this isn't the first time CIG has kicked a patch out into Wave 1 PTU before it was ready to kick out into Wave 1 PTU. In fact, they did that with, I think, 3.21. Like, they've done it for multiple patches in recent memory, but it's also been happening. It's happened a lot where CIG is like, we have a deadline to kick, so we're just going to, is it stable enough? It's not crashing every 5 minutes, so kick it out. And with things like server recovery, it's still got some bugs, but it works. It takes about 2 minutes or so, but you pop right back in, so you don't have that 30K problem anymore.
Okay.
So
and we're not seeing T-posing and standing on chairs.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I went into Area 18 today and went to Kasaba, and I'm looking at all of the AI. I'm like, it felt like me being in a real store, a real department store. Real. I was like, wow, this is cool.
Wait, Chris, did they try to chase you out? I'm sorry.
Okay. I get
Somebody was following us around, real department store.
Was following me around. Excuse me, sir. Do you need any help?
Fast card. No. Fast card. Okay.
Paul, do you feel safe?
Fist, I grew up in Oakland, okay? I'm fine. Oh, gosh darn it. This is.
I rub out on people, Paul.
Well, see, the problem was that originally Fist said, "I want to come on to the captain's table to make sure to wrangle Fast Cart." Now here he is, like they're double teaming.
Let me explain something to you, Paul, because I always said this to Fast Cart. Right? We always when we watch movies and stuff like that. I said, Fast Cart, you do not know. I am being contained. You just don't know.
I have seen bits and pieces of him being uncontained, and oh yeah, he can go there. He can go there really well.
Moving right along to the question that Fast Cart brought up as well, which is, now that we've kind of talked about 3.23 and kind of what's in store for it. With the possibility of things being pushed to a 3.21 or a 3.231 or a 3.23.2, what does that mean for something like 4.0? And this is going to sound like it's just a veiled when question, because it is. But I gotta put Fast Cart on the hot seat. He's already in the fast seat. I'm gonna put him in the hot seat now. Fast Cart. when is 4.0 coming out, in your opinion?
Hold on, let me check the temperature. Okay. 4.0. See, I've already said September 30th, and I'm keeping it there. I mean, if you want to be for real, it's September 31st. Like I said, I know I made that joke already, but I mean.
All right, so September 31st is.
I mean,
there's no September 31st.
I know, that's the point.
I'm a teacher, and I forget that. Yeah,
that's the point. No, that's my thing. Like, I mean, CIG has been better at keeping dates, but this is such a big patch, a big thing. I don't know if they can get this on time. I'm hoping they do. But I would not be surprised or disappointed if they slip a little bit. So yeah.
Do you think, like, when you say September 30th, as you know, as kind of a joke, but do you think like we're gonna see something like? Do you think CIG is gonna try to do that slide in at the last minute, like it's out in PTU Wave 1 September 30th, or it's out in Ivocati Wave September 30th? We technically hit it, you know.
Just so that I won't be disappointed, I can say that they'll probably get the EPT or the Ivocati out 2 weeks, September 14th maybe.
Okay, so
but I don't think that'll be enough time to get out to live.
Okay,
in my opinion, we'll see.
All right, Captain Serious Fan, same question in terms of like when do you think 4.0 is going to come out based off everything we've seen so far? Because we're to be clarified, because I do want to make sure chat kind of gets it. CIG is all but said 3.23 is the last 3. Patch. Like the patch after this is 4.0, and they've said it multiple times now that they're targeting summer of this year for 4.0. So
yeah, my short answer is August 1st.
Okay.
Before the European August holidays.
Okay.
My longer answer is I pick August 1st because it sits within a context. I feel like we have a new, different, evolved CIG from CitizenCon onward that is more confident and more clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like bringing stuff that they've seen work in Squadron 42 over is a different type of work than developing it whole cloth. And so that has given them a confidence that has led to a certain type of rollout that is a lot more intensive and comprehensive and complete than it's been in a long time. Also, my answer is the basics of 4.0. So 4.0 is 3 things, right? 4.0 is Pyro, which we've already seen at CitizenCon, right? Except for the outer 3 planets and Ruin Station. So it's Pyro, it's server meshing, and it's a jump point, right? That's what 4.0 is, right? So Ivocati has already jumped from Stanton to Pyro, right? That's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
We've already, Fist and I at CitizenCon, I can't remember Fast Card if you went over to the Pyro area.
I didn't.
But we've already played Pyro. Like we were in it, running around, right? And server meshing is happening right now, right? So I think 3.23 and getting it right is actually a bigger nut to crack than 4.0 in its basic form. The last thing I'll say about that is, and I've said this on Soul Citizens, I think it would be weird for CIG to have put 3 different jump points in the game when they did, to just be hit over the head with those jump points by the community and not have a plan in the 4.0 branch for those locations.
You say what those are again?
So it's Pyro, it's Magnus, and it is Terra, right? So my hot space opinion is that we will get 4.0 August 1st,
mm-hmm.
and we will get an extension of the 4.0 branch with Terra and Magnus at CitizenCon.
Ooh.
That's how confident and ahead of the game they are.
I could see that, because again, this is the new swagger CIG, you know, and
right.
I always describe it as swagger because as people say, well, swagger, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily correct in being in having confidence. I'm like, yeah, that's what swagger is. It's whether it's legitimate or illegitimate, you're gonna walk around like you've got the biggest balls in the room, sort of situation. That they're bold with that, with their themselves, and I could see that. I could see them come up and say, here, you've all experienced, like, it's in PTU or Evocati or it's in Wave 1 PTU or all PTU at CitizenCon. 4.0 is going to release soon, and we're really excited for you. But we want to show you the future, and then showing off things like Terra and Magnus and Nyx and Orion and all of those other, Orion, Odin, all of those systems, and being like, see, look, with a nice little supercut of all these different systems, which are already being developed and have some level of play. And then here's our roadmap for 1.0 kind of thing. So. Right.
But I just thought it's weird. The swagger for me is reflected in the jump points. I put them in. You could have just put the pyro one in, right? Mm-hmm. That's the one you've talked about, but you put the other ones in. You get hit over the head by this community for how long, right? I think they had some line of sight to that. So yeah, August 1st is my date.
Okay.
And Paul just said the biggest balls, and I didn't immediately jump in, so that's me restraining myself. Just letting you know.
I was setting you up. I was setting you up for something.
It's
you
didn't want to jump also in. Know when you choose not to. That's important.
All right, face to face. Same question.
Okay, 4.0 so I'm gonna say 4.0 win. I'm gonna do two things. When I want it.
Okay.
Cap said the date August. Realistically, when I want to say it may come, I'm gonna say sometime before Christmas break. I'm gonna give it a long,
dang, wow,
a big long girth. Is that right? No, I don't want to say that too much for him up there. Yeah,
So Fist,
I gotta watch myself.
Jared just talked about this at the end of.
ISU.
Right.
He just said our summer journey to 4.0.
Right.
He didn't have to say that. So do you think that that's, to Paul's point, swagger, or they got line of sight to a summer thing?
I want to say they do have the A team on, Star Citizen now with all the folks being shifted from Squadron. So I think it's a little bit of both, and I want them to have that confidence, what I'm saying, to go into this, to be able to do so. But at the same time, too, I understand that, especially now dabbling in a little bit of myself, that, that these things do have hiccups. And
stuff happens.
It will happen. You know what I mean? Now, whether or not, if you trip and fall and, like you said, you get back up and you keep on trucking, that's, and they have. So 318, let's go back there. 318 was a big trip and fall. They got back up. So I'm optimistic about it. Even when they didn't have the 18. You know what I'm saying? So I look at 4.0, and like I said, again, my wants and desires want to say, yeah, August, let's go, let's have it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too, I have become, I guess you could say, in a gamer's mindset, a more mature outlook of it, and say, you know what? Let me get at a little bit of some room to breathe. So.
To answer your question, I don't believe they're mutually exclusive, because you can have swag and have line of sight. I mean, you may be incorrect, but I think you can have both, in my opinion. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive. And Fish, it's hard to not trip and fall when you have such big balls.
You know what? I'm gonna turn that into you. You are 100% right there, Fast Car. He is right. because CIG does have the gigantic huevos to do what they do in a way that nobody else is doing it. And I often say this, and this is something I do want to reiterate, especially with this full year going forward, which is there is no other company who would make Star Citizen.
Yeah.
It would never be made. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's ridiculous. Of course it could be. Of course it could be made. Microsoft could make Star Citizen. EA could make Star Citizen. Plenty of companies could, but they wouldn't because it's not profitable enough.
Right. Or it requires too much vision. Right.
Yeah.
Microsoft stumbled into Flight Simulator because Asobo was a good company and Blackbird Tech was out there. Yeah. Right. They weren't even thinking about Flight Simulator again until someone brought Flight Simulator to them, and then they went, "Yeah, okay, here we go. Let's make some money."
Yeah, it's like
right? Same thing with EA, right?
Right, but see, to your point though, this is the thing. Like, kind of, I don't want to derail conversation too much, but this is the kind of psychology that I kind of look at with us. Is like sometimes is that we get into the habit where it's like we want it, like the rich daddy girl in Willy Wonka, like, daddy, I want it now. Give me the golden goose, and it's like. Do y'all, like gamers got to ask themselves a question. Do y'all really want a great game? Like, legitimately, do y'all really want a great game?
Or do you want it now?
But that's the problem. It's like, well, greatness is going to take time. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think about it. If this, I want Star Citizen to succeed at its utmost potential, because guess what? That is going to change the landscape of gaming from here on out, right?
Yeah. First point, I just want to add, I don't think any other game companies, they see what Cloud Premium Games, CIG, has been doing all the time. I think this will be the last time we see open development and to this extent.
Yeah. Well, there's a great thread.
For another 20 years.
There's a great thread that I saw on Twitter that was from somebody who is a community manager, works in the industry, who basically said that you want to be transparent, but transparency is a tool in your toolbox. You can't just be transparent, because if you're just transparent, eventually they'll hate you. Your own fans will begin to hate you, because when you're too transparent, when you show them everything under the hood, people don't understand it and will start questioning every decision you make, and it becomes more about them questioning whether you're competent or not, rather than you actually doing the job that you're there. It becomes more about fighting fires than it is about developing your product.
It's absolutely the case. It's absolutely the case in every. Go ahead, Fast Card.
To your point, we may be in our own bubble, so we may not see the undeserved criticism that may be out there, but it is out there. So yeah, a lot of people, not a lot of people, quite a few content creators coming in to make their clickbait or 10-minute videos that about Star Citizen without having doing their due diligence and research about it first. So yes, that is true. I agree. But go ahead, Cap. Sorry.
No, that's an important point. I was just going to extend what Paul was saying. In every professional endeavor, vulnerability, too much vulnerability, has people beginning to question your ability to lead and be competent, right? So people want. I remember when they had a dev on who talked about what had happened when they brought the Santak Yai up and it didn't pass.
Yeah.
And they had been showing it in sneak peek after sneak peek after sneak peek, and then all of a sudden it dropped off, and it was because it didn't pass. And so they had the dev come on and talk about why it didn't pass. And I remember that the Spectrum Reddit verse crucified CIG for that vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right. It was harsher, and Reddit's harsh, right? It was harsher than normal. Right. And so they didn't say, hey, thanks for sharing why this happened. They went, well, why did it happen? And of course, and they began to question the competence of all of the ship pipelines, right? To the point where you had to be like, wait a minute.
And then it's because of threads like these, they'll become less open. And this is why I like to say, this is why we can't have nice things. Because, there's some of the thing happening with the roadmap.
To your point, Fast Cart, though, and other companies, I don't necessarily think that companies won't, it's particularly indie companies, will fail to be transparent. I think, though, that if you're watching CIG, you just get lessons on how to do it, right? Where to do it, when to do it, and no one's going to guarantee 100% openness or even to present as 100% open. People are going to say, this is where we're going to be transparent, and this is where we're going to be transparent, and this is where, right? They're going to be very specific about it, right?
So to your point, there was a saying that I backed another game, Ashes of Creation, when it first came out. They're in open development too. So Stephen Sharif's, don't quote me verbatimly, he said something to the effect that when you're doing open development, it's a bane and a boon type of situation where you have, on one hand, in your early stages of your development, people are going to see all of those flaws, like for example, in Ashes of Creation's early combat stages, very sluggish, very slow. Tab target was like, it was just like, oh, okay, so we're going back really old school. It's just like really casting a spell is going to take like 5 seconds, So right now, if you look at their combat, it's a lot more, it's faster, it's smoother, it's better. So the thing that he said is that, whenever you have that open development in the beginning, folks are going to see that unpolished progress, and it's going to be off-putting, and you're going to lose unfortunately a piece of your audience. It's just going to come with it, with open development. So that's the byproduct of open development, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. The main point is that I was making with that whole thing is to make that joke into a real thing, is that CIG does definitely have balls to do something like this, to do a game like this, because one of the realities in this year and previous years have always kind of shown this, but like as Star Citizen gets better at some things, and I don't think they get worse, but they definitely have to learn new lessons every year. And those lessons will change and cause the whole staff to change. Like right now, the entire staffing, like how CIG is organized in its entirety, is entirely changed. They've taken 1,100 people that were used to a format that it's worked for the last maybe 3 or 4 years, and are now throwing it up in the air and saying, we're completely changing it because we need to refocus on this. But yeah, like that's just, it's takes some courage to do stuff like that in public with everyone seeing, it's like deciding
with literally no roadmap. There's no one to look to go, how did they do it? It hasn't been done before, right? Not at this level. So yeah, they're going to learn new lessons every year, right? Hopefully they are in learning mode, right? Because if they're not, then the lessons get imposed upon them, right? Harkening back to when they tried to charge for CitizenCon online.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they'll either receive the lessons or the lessons will come down upon them.
You might want to explain that, because some people might not have been around that time.
Well, just real quick, we're not on CitizenCon yet, but there was a time, I think it was 2018, where they announced that they would charge to watch CitizenCon.
$20.
Yeah, $20, and the computer, and I think it was where they were in the project that they didn't see themselves as really being able to afford, or they hadn't budgeted, or they hadn't planned for the costs that were related to really producing CitizenCon correctly. And so when they figured out what those costs were, they're like, oh, we got to pass that on to the consumer. We haven't budgeted for it, right? And they tried to do that and got their asses handed to them, and they changed their mind, to their credit, right? They changed their mind.
And now we have $250 and $350 tickets.
But you also have it for absolutely free, right?
Yeah.
Right on your couch.
He's true.
Right?
He's true.
And to be fair, the community was the one who said, it's costing a lot of money, then can you just sell the stuff that people get for going to CitizenCon and as digitally? Because it's already a digital package. Just sell it for $25 and people will buy it. And I think CIG called our bluffs and we bought it. Just like everyone said it was going to happen. And then CIG, wait, this works. It's like, yeah, because people will buy your things if it's optional, but you give it to them. If you give them something for free and then you have an optional way to support them, which is reasonable, they will buy it because they feel like they got their money's worth from enjoying the entertainment. This is literally how Twitch and YouTube work. Like, that's the reason how Twitch and YouTube work, is that it's free. You're watching this for free. None of you paid any money to watch this whole thing to happen. But
whereas as opposed to you try to force people to pay for something that used to be free, and it's going to be a riot. And there was.
Yeah. And people will often pay more money if it's optional. So,
yeah, but now you're seeing Xenothreat armor being included in Overdrive versus Overdrive being exclusively to get a token to spend more money. People are just going to get something. That's an indicator that some faction within ZIG is hearing that. Right?
Yeah.
So,
chat's telling me to sell digital tickets to the captain's table. I'll give you a digital swag bag.
This show
buy that for $1.
This show with these hosts is worth about 2 cents. So.
Wait a minute, hold on, no Cap. Wait a minute, I'm at least 3 more cents more. Come on now.
I mean, all I'm giving you is my 2 cents. So maybe
give me a nickel piece. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, no one charges you by the pennies anymore, Cap. No one charges you by the pennies anymore.
So let's move on to the last real thing, because we've actually brought up a couple of big ones, but I did think that joke turned into a good conversation about, like, this is part of the whole, like, what's going on this year for Star Citizen is like they're going to take risks, and I do think that
happy to contribute,
and I think they will fall flat on their face sometimes because they are taking big risks, and that's fine. That's part of the process, and it's something we're all going to have to kind of internalize. And the game's going to develop the way it's going to develop. We can't force it to do one thing or the other. Sometimes just life is harder than you think or easier than you think. Depends on what's going on, and that's kind of the way that Star Citizen is right now. It's kind of in that weird plot spot. With all of that said, let's talk a little bit more about CitizenCon, because we brought up CitizenCon as well. CitizenCon 2024 is being held in Manchester. I'll look up the price of the tickets, but it's, I think, $50 more expensive. $250 and $350. Yeah. It's $250 and $350, which is $50 more expensive than it was last year. And the party, which came free with a VIP ticket in 2023, is now a separate ticket. So you have to pay for a separate ticket to get to the party, which includes special guests and all that kind of stuff. This gala, which I think is taking place before CitizenCon. It's like the
Friday
day before.
Right. The day before. Yep. Yeah, the actual CitizenCon is on the Saturday and Sunday. The gala is on the Friday evening.
So, they're, I'm not going to beat around the bush. CIG has heavily implied that some big names will be there, because unless you're blind and or have been living under a rock or have some other means of not being able to process information, everyone knows that this is the CitizenCon that CIG is going to announce Squadron 42. It's all but confirmed. I don't think there's anybody out there who thinks it's not going to be announced at the CitizenCon. So, as a result, a lot of people are expecting Mark Hamill, John Rhys Davies, or other members of the cast to be at this gala as part of that, soiree, as part of that process. So I've heard Captain Series' friend brought it up before the show, talked about Board Gamer apparently said somewhere between $500 and $1,000 was his guesstimate. And if they have limited numbers and it is a come hang out with several members of the cast, I could see that. I could see an additional $500 to $1,000 for that. That's So like a lot of that is, and for anybody who freaks out, it's like those sorts of events are expensive to run, just in general, because you have to rent out a location, which if like it's a restaurant, that restaurant has to take effectively the entire restaurant or entire section of the restaurant, which they're not going to make money off of because they have to put it to you. So they have to charge you enough money to justify that situation. And on top of that, most likely if there's going to be bigger actors there, those actors are going to have appearance fees. You have to pay them a certain amount of money so they can be there, because they have to take time out of their life and their schedule to show up for more than a day. Because it's not just showing up for a day. None of these people live in Manchester, so they have to travel to Manchester. They have to get rooms.
They
are
doing it from the goodness of the heart, Paul? I'm shocked.
So, and many of these people would be taking their time away from filming schedules or doing other things that they'd be doing, which would be making the money. So they charge some sort of fee. So with that all in mind, it's going to be generally small, and they think most people think that there's going to be larger names there. It's going to be more expensive. So with that all being said, I do want to know your general thoughts about CitizenCon this coming year, based off of like the prices and anything else. Or are you going, all that sort of thing? And I'll start with you on this one, Fast Cart.
So I actually decided to wake up and for each wave to see how fast they would sell out. And so these are my times. These are not official or anything, because some people say they sold out in 5 seconds, but according to my refresh, it was a little bit more nuanced than that. So for wave one, my measurement. Premium tickets for Wave 1 sold out in 35 seconds for the first day. This is the concierge subscriber day, and 85 seconds for the normal ticket. But they're probably a lot less because I was slowly refreshed there for the normal ticket. For Wave 2, the second one, it was 20 seconds for the premium ticket to sell out, and 100 seconds, well, a minute and 40 for the normal ticket. But the thing is, ever since like Wave 2 and so on for that, the premium ticket started like 5 seconds later than the normal ticket were available. So I'm not sure if someone had to flip a switch and they didn't have the timing right, but yeah, the film tickets were not sold at the top of the hour on the dot. There was some lag time for that. Wave 3, it was from 8 seconds to 17 seconds for the premium ticket because of the lag time, so that's like 9 seconds, but people say it was 5 seconds. Normal access was still available after 10 minutes, and they were sold out for the next wave. So I don't know when normal access tickets were unavailable for Wave 3 from the first day. But for the second day, premium access were sold out after 2 hours. I mean, I think CIG added the tickets to the store permanently, and then switched it off after a while. But the normal tickets were still available until Wave 2, and then so on for Wave 2 and Wave 3. I didn't check today, but yeah, I should have checked today, but I didn't. But yeah, as far as the gala goes, my guess for the price would be $250 to $350, but I'm saying that because if I were going and I'm not going, I would want to be able to afford to go. That's why. Because if it's $500, I would have to pass, unfortunately. Yeah. So but people are saying I went on the Spectrum. When they announced the ticket prices on Monday, and people say, "Oh, that's too much. I'm not going." And people say that, and then they still sell out in 5 to 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
So, so I don't know. You can say what you want to about that. People are asking if there's no VIP party. Buy the ticket $100 more. You get a VIP lounge. I don't know how long or how full it's going to be. That's going to be interesting. I'm hoping that they'll show it. You get the extra digital goodies and extra physical goodies in your swag bag and some other stuff. But yeah. Oh, you get a separate line for VIP as opposed to the normal access. So that's how they're justifying the price difference this time. But it is $50 more than last year, and because they usually always take a loss when it comes to CitizenCon for this stuff. So They're trying to recoup some of that money back. And plus, um, Tyler Rick and Jilo yesterday said that on the second day they've already passed the ticket sales from 2023, so they already passed 2,000 tickets. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it's big. um,
hey,
but you're not going this year.
and I'm not going this year. I mean, it would cost me $2,100. That's before the gala and
Yeah.
and food and Uber and all that. Yeah, so I'm not going. Because you compare, LA cost me like $1,500.
Yeah. Okay. Are you looking forward to it at the very least, even if you're not going?
Yeah. I'm always looking forward to it. I'll be hanging out in Soul Citizens or whoever watching and talking about it. If they do another BMM presentation, I'll probably have to have my moment alone like I did last time. But yeah, I'll be watching it.
How alone are you talking about?
We'll talk about that after the show. We'll talk about that after the show.
Okay.
All right, Captain SF. Same kind of questions with you. Your reaction to like just generally the ticket price, the gala, and of course overall, are you going? And do you think what do you think about it? Good, bad? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, my reaction to the ticket price was I'm glad I don't pay VAT. I miss.
Oh yeah, to your point, that someone posted a screenshot saying it's $425 for VAT instead of $350. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I'm not glad I don't have universal health care and a bunch of other stuff, but I'm glad I don't pay VAT. Unlike Fastcart, last year was my first CitizenCon in person. And so for me, I only have one CitizenCon in-person experience to say, hey, I'd like more of this or I'd like less of that. That being said, last year CitizenCon in LA was great, right? It was great for a variety of reasons. And I felt real value, not only from the production, but from the fact that there was a Soul Citizens booth that sort of acted as our base of operations from which to spring forth and see different things. The announcements and the actual experience, getting to play Pyro. I got a lot of value from my VIP ticket, including the after party at CIG headquarters. So it was in that light that I was looking at this, and then and if you remember, initially they didn't post the price, right? And then they put the price up, and I went, well, $50 more. I feel like if they just do what they did last year, now they're adding another $50, I'll get more. But they took away the gala or the so-called after party. It's a pre-party now, but they took it away. So now I'm like, well, what am I really getting for the premium experience? And they're like a VIP lounge. Well, for those of you that were at CitizenCon in LA, the VIP lounge was sort of like a VIP roped off area.
Yeah.
Right. It was kind of
ghost town.
Yeah.
And I went in, I stepped in, there's a CIG staff member there that was sort of guarding the velvet rope or whatever. And I sort of stepped in just to have been in there, and then I stepped out and I never went in there again because there was nothing going on in there, and it wasn't like a respite, from the space, the noise, or anything else. So it didn't even serve that function. So I'm not sure how much value that has. I haven't been to Manchester Central. And to Fastcart's point, I was shocked at Tyler's post that in a day and a half they had already passed the number of tickets they had sold for LA, because I was sure that part of the reason stuff felt so scarce was that Manchester Central was going to be a more intimate, smaller, not bigger. But it sounds like it's bigger. So I was just wrong about that. My wife will say I'm wrong 15 times a day, so that's nothing new. But wrong about that, it's going to be bigger. I guess I'm just so I got premium tickets, to your point, Paul. I played the F5 game. I pulled up time.gov for the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, so it could tell me how off my clock was from the real time. I'm off by 0.3 of a second. So I clicked relative to that and ended up with it. So luck of the draw, but some strategy there too. And so I have the
bad
premium
news for you. I have bad news for you. Premium tickets are still available right now.
Yeah, I mean, so nothing special there, but you know, when you're doing it, you don't know that they're going to be available. So ended up with those. We'll see what it really means. I am worried about value this time, but it's really about the relationships, the people, seeing people, getting to meet you and Space Tomato in person, and being there in a communal sense. It's almost like when we all went to see Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, right? It was like this communal experience in IMAX that we all had together that we won't forget, right? It'll be the same thing, particularly if they announce Squadron 42. It'll be were you there when, right? And people could still have that online.
Real 3D.
Yeah.
Okay. People can still have that online. Like, were you watching when they announced? Like, you know, it'll be something that we won't forget. So I'm excited about that. Even though I'm broke and I can't really afford to do it, I'm doing it anyway.
Ooh.
Sorry. So you're while he's dawning. I just want to say that people who from America may not realize that Manchester Central is where soccer played, or as we like to call it, European football. So it's a big venue. So they'll be able to hold. It's like the LA Convention Center is where they play basketball and some other big venues. So you can make it as large as you need it to be.
Yeah,
don't be confused. Wait, though. That's Staples Center is where they play the basketballs at,
which is right next to.
It's not next
but they
to
do
the
have
LA
concerts
Convention.
there. They do have concerts though. Yeah.
They have concerts in the Staples Center.
Yeah.
And then then it's LA Convention. The reason why I say that though, Fast Card, I know because that night, I think it was Saturday, SZA was an artist, had a concert that night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Remember when we were walking back? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had
I remember.
At Staples.
I remember walking by that and seeing all these people dressed in like really audacious outfits, and I was like,
what's going on?
What's going on? This is the strangest like thing I've experienced here in LA, and I've been in LA many times. This is weird.
Also in LA, that same weekend they were having two conventions, not just Citizen Con. And so
the dentist event
Manchester
convention.
Central Convention Center is a big place.
Right.
Yeah, it's apparently, according to chat, is that it used to be a Victorian train station that's been repurposed, so it's huge. So Fist, your thoughts on the tickets, everything, and of course, like, are you going and are you looking forward to it?
Okay, so am I going? No. Fortunately, don't have the duggets unless I can go out. Somebody can get a posse. We can go rob a bank, whatever. Figure that out if so. But anyway, my thoughts on Citizen Con. LA was great, and I would say reason why LA was great for me is I always say is 90% was the experience, was meeting y'all, and 10% was the convention or the events themselves. Knew that, not saying that the 10% of what CIG put on wasn't great or anything like that, because it was great in its own right. It's just going there to meet everybody and experiencing that and just hanging out. So as far as for the ticket sales, I like Kat was saying, as far as the premium side, I really hope they do something for y'all to really feel premium-ish, I guess you could say. More than what it was in LA, because it was a ghost town in that area. I literally walked past that part of it, and I saw I think it was like there was a person back there sitting at one point, and then there was an interviewer doing something back there at one point, and I was like, well, what is this area? And then later on, to come to find out, it was the VIP area. It was a lounge area. I was like, really? It's like, it was nobody in there. It was nothing going on, So, I hope they do something for y'all for that one. As far as these gala tickets, now let's get into that one. Number one, I am going to look forward to Twitter fire for that one. I am a glutton for that one, because I am going to be looking at that and
popcorn
saying,
ready.
"Oh my God, yes, exactly."
Keep going.
And you won't need any salt for the popcorn.
Yeah.
The internet will be providing enough of it for you.
I am waiting for it. You know what I mean? Because, oh my goodness, if those tickets, as we sat back here and speculated, that they come out to be between 5 to 1,000, and let's say, some celebrities show up. Now, here's the thing. Now, you take the scenario. Let's say some celebrities show up and they're $1,000. I mean, you got to think about it. That's not too bad because that's like sitting at courtside seats at a game almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Two things. Folks are going to be, number one, mad at the price.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, folks are going to be mad that they didn't get it. So I am looking at, like I said again, I am looking for that Twitter fire to go ablaze about these tickets. Now, as far as the event for that gala, I would have to. I'm gonna steal this from Kaizen and Black Star Legion. It's the night before the show and everything, the Citizen Con, right? So don't expect them to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Or stay up late.
Right, exactly. Don't expect them to stay up late and party like it's 1999 for y'all. I'm just being real.
No, you're right. You're right. And,
so,
and I was of the opinion that people like me would be okay with it because we know we've been there before. They know that they can't talk about stuff because you have the stuff coming up the day after. So, but Kai was like, no, bro. People are going to be asking questions like, "What can we expect tomorrow? What can we expect tomorrow?" I'm like, "It's the day after. Wait 24 hours and you'll see." But he's right. Some people will be impatient, but I think most of the community will understand. But to Two-Face's point, I think most VIP people. I've always been VIP from Citizen Con, and
nice flex, Fast Card. Nice
flex. You hear that brag? That humble brag.
But I do it for the swag. I do it for the because also like I'm in a wheelchair, so I want the premium seat for my wheelchair. But most of the time, I'm just hanging out with everyone. Like I wouldn't want to be separate from everyone. So I think like if they do have a VIP lounge, maybe a dozen or less people will probably be there because I won't be paying $350 just to be with 10 people. I'll be hanging out with everyone.
Yeah. I personally do not know why anyone would buy a VIP if it doesn't include this sort of ticket for this party. It's not going to be worth it. I mean, unless you want to give CIG some more money, but I mean, you can also just buy more ships. I don't think it'll be worth it. I didn't know that they were doing the separate gala ticket, and after that I heard that, I'm like, what's the point? Because like since it's not refundable, I'll just tell you all right now who bought it non-refundable. You're never going to use any of the parts, and it's never worth what you're paying for. Like the only reason to buy it, last time was because you got that little party, which was all right. It wasn't great, but
the best party ever.
It was all right. It was fine. It was good to talk to some people, but it was just hanging out in CIG's parking lot. Is what it was with free booze, which was cool. Don't get me wrong. It was cool, but yeah, I don't know how to put this. I am not going because it is too expensive. As Fastcar pointed out, it is $2,000 just for the base travel and stay accommodations, plus food and any other kind of travel or any other sort of purchases. And if I'm going all the way to England, my wife would kill me if I didn't take her with me, because she hasn't been to England. And last time I was in England, I was a very, very tiny child. So I don't remember much of it. But, that's an international trip right there. So if I'm going to England, I'm staying there for like a week. I'm going to do tourist things and then go to Citizen Con. So I don't have
Right.
And I'd have to practically double that if I'm taking my wife with me. So I don't have $5,000 laying around.
That's a vacation, though. Like
Yeah.
you're legitimately speaking on that. Like,
Yeah.
'cause you're not the first person to say that. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Like LA is it's a trip. Like, yeah, it's nice, but it's a trip, and when it comes back to Austin next year, because it's coming back to Austin next year, and I don't have to spend shit. I just got to pay for the ticket and then the gas.
Well, I'm kind of a little different. I wanted to be in Montreal.
Montreal, because you can just drive. Yeah.
Closer to me. Right. Yeah. So I can't lie.
Paul, let me ask you this. They say that in the FAQ, they say that CitizenCon will be longer on the first day
than the second day,
and shorter on the second day. So last year, it was from the doors open at 9, programming started at 11, it went till 4. What do you think they mean by longer?
Well, one of the reasons
6, will it go to 10?
One of the reasons why it was so short was because of union labor in LA, and the buzz that I heard from the various people who are in charge of those sorts of things at CIG is that they're never going back to LA again. They're never going to do CitizenCon LA again because it's too expensive, and like it was legitimately like if they missed a time, they would have to pay union fees.
I heard that.
And it was just a massive amount of money. And so, and this is CIG we're talking about. I love you, CIG, but timetables are never your friend. And you're never going to be 100% on time. So, and I talked to...
So it's smart not to put yourself at the will of the Teamsters, right?
Yeah.
And to give some context, the last time they were at LA was 2016, so that was 7 years ago. So things changed in 7 years, and it got more expensive, and their needs became greater. So that's why they had to go to the convention center. So between what was it? I forget the name of the place in 2016, but the Avalon.
Yeah.
Going from the Avalon to the convention center was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see the CIG not doing LA anymore. It's a disappointment, especially for people who are in local to the area. But this is why we can have nice things.
And for similar reasons, I was hearing rumbling about Frankfurt. It's similar in Frankfurt, and on top of that, there just aren't many venues in Frankfurt that could support the size that CIG is looking to scale CitizenCon to.
So, do you
Phantom
think
5692 in the chat says you're not exactly making CitizenCon enticing. Well, we don't work for CIG, so.
Nope.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That's true. So we don't know.
It's great for the people. It's great for the experience. It's great for putting names to faces.
I will say echo what everyone else says here, and I'll let Fist jump in. But the reason you go to CitizenCon is for the people. You go there to meet other Star Citizens and to hang out with other people and to talk with the devs. It's a experience like no other. You can feel the excitement in chat and hear in the audience. Instead of just being in a chat room, you're there next to people. You're hearing people excited. You're seeing the people present it. It's a very different experience. It's like I can watch a baseball game on television. I can go watch a basketball or a football game on television, but it's entirely different to see it in person. It's a different experience because you get to be around other people and feel the for lack of a better word, the vibes of an event, and it's completely unique. And yeah, you're going to pay more for it, but you're paying for the experience.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Fist.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, this. So if what you're saying is true about the Frankfurt thing and everything, then it would just be a trio of locations, basically from Manchester to Austin and maybe Montreal. I don't know.
Yeah, what I've been hearing is that it's just Manchester and just Austin is what they're looking at.
Just Austin. Oh, okay.
They're just bouncing it back and forth.
I mean, it's not bad then. That's not bad. I can deal with that.
Go ahead, Fast Cut, because I was going to respond to it in chat.
I just want to say that to push back a little bit. You're talking about the VIP party in LA. Getting to experience Brian Chambers' hair in its full glory in real life made the VIP party worth it. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else. Being in his presence of that and his hair, that was worth the $300 by itself. And plus, CIG raised the age from 13 to 18, so I'm not mentally old enough to attend. So that's another strike against it.
So someone did say, Paul, you did go last year, so you did pay a lot for it then. I didn't, thankfully. I wasn't going to go, but I had Atmo Esports reached out and offered to pay for the flight. And then I had somebody who already had a hotel who's like, you can stay with me at the hotel. So like I paid almost nothing, thankfully. I mostly paid for food and travel expenses. That still was like almost $1,000. Yeah, it was like $500, I'd say. But like the trip, the Uber from the airport to my house was like $500. It was insane how expensive that was. It wasn't an Uber, it was a taxi. Yeah, but I'm never taking an Uber or taxi because it was also similar with Uber. I'm like, I'm never taking that because it's a little long, but it's like 30 minutes, and I'm like, that's insanity amount of.
My Uber was like 40 or 45.
Yeah,
but,
it was huge. I was like, that is nuts. I mean, I at the time I was just like, I'm just gonna eat the cost, but you know, like that's more of a like I'm getting Cam to drive me from there. I'm driving myself. Like that's not freaking worth it. And that was from it was in Texas. That wasn't in LA, but in LA it was like easy $60 to drive to do any sort of Ubering. You know, minimum $60 everywhere you went. So.
And welcome Raiders, welcome Star Citizen. Hey.
Yes. Thank you. But yeah, I think we've had a good conversation so far. Went over a little bit longer than I'd like to, so we can move into the question and answer session. But we'll wrap it up with one simple, short question because this was about 3.23 and beyond. I'll start with you, Fist, on this one. Are you optimistic, neutral? Are you optimistic, whelmed, or negative about Star Citizen's near future between 3.23 and the end of the year?
I am optimistic. Again, I look at the way their track record, like you said, like we just talked about, that they are doing as far as testing and you know, ironing out things. I'm looking at how the way they're handling it, you know, as far as, you know, with the team that they have. So I am very confident to see that they will do what they need to do with this. You know, that's my outlook at it and my heart of hearts. You know, I'm kind of shedding a tear a little bit, but you know.
Okay. Captain Superfun?
Captain Superfun is my brother, but
serious fun.
They all don't look alike, Paul. They all don't look alike.
That's my brother from another mother.
Yeah.
No, I am optimistic, and the reason I'm optimistic is because I am materially playing something new that I was not playing before, right?
Okay.
This is not just theory crafting and operating in our own headspaces, right? Wave 1 is different. It does work when it works. It's janky, it's funky, it's hesitant, it's goofy, but you can see it, you can play it, it exists. I'm in it. And for me, that is an example of the bag matching the swag, right? So the swag, to Paul's point, I think that's a great term. It's that hubris, that pride that sometimes goeth before a fall, but not if you show up, right? Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, they talked a lot of junk on the court, but they showed up, right? And they actually delivered. So right now I'm feeling delivery, and that has me enthusiastic that CIG is going to continue to do what they say they want to do and are doing.
Fast card.
I am optimistic, very optimistic that they'll get there. eventually, but I'm whelmed about them doing it in a timely manner or on their predicted schedule. I'm happy. I'm happy for 2023. Don't get me wrong about that. I'm looking forward to it, and so yes, I am optimistic they'll get there, but I'm whelmed that they'll get there. I'm whelmed that they're getting on an unpredicted schedule. Yeah.
All right.
And that's also a reflection of reality, right? The reality of what CIG has been.
Yeah.
Right.
CIG's gotten better, but they're still CIG. So, once they've proven for several months and years in a row that they can hit their milestones, then it's great. What's the old saying? It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and 5 seconds to ruin it. Like CIG has a negative reputation even amongst its own fans about a lot of different things. So they're going to have to spend a lot of capital and a lot of time building that trust back. Once they get that trust back, it all takes is one screw up and it's all gone down the hill again. So, thank you for hanging out with us so far. Oh, I guess I should say my own thoughts.
Yes,
I'm optimistic. I'm somewhere between optimistic and whelmed. Because I also had high expectations. My teacher side is like, I have high expectations for you, CIG. Do not disappoint me. I will be disappointed teacher face if things don't get through. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm just expected more from you, kind of thing.
Oh my God, I feel that in my heart. I feel personally attacked.
Yeah. I kind of feel like as if Paul. I gotta ask a question. Have you ever sent CIG to the principal's office?
No, I don't send CIG to the principal's office. I talk to their parents.
So you talk to their parents to get their ass whooped.
He's interested in results.
2024, they don't do that anymore, fans.
They don't do that. You're right. You can't do that anymore. You're right.
So I'm optimistic, but I have high expectations of CIG to do well this year. And if they do well, I'm looking forward to the future. So, and again, thank you for Soul Citizens for rating earlier. Thank you, as Fastcar pointed out. And we will take a few minutes to take a break, use the restroom, grab something to drink, and we'll be back answering your questions live. And if you did enjoy this so far, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content just like this, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. And of course, join us live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPubLive on Thursdays. Not Thursdays. That's my captain's my office hours things. Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. I think it's 1 p.m. Pacific. This is a newish time. We may be moving it forward or back here and there, depending on how things work, simply because it was easier to get, especially folks from the UK and the EU on at that time period. Because when you started it 2 hours later, it's like starting it at like midnight or 1 a.m. for them. So, let me just see the rest of it. If you're listening to this on the podcast format, make sure you hit that like button or rate it and leave us a little stuff that does help as well to kind of promote the podcast stuff. We were, funny enough, in gaming, we've been in the top 200 gaming podcasts for Spotify.
Nice.
So
very good.
And we've actually peaked in the past to the top 100 once. So you rating and commenting does help a lot. So.
Well, everybody here can help with that. So my hope is that you all will lean in. It takes 2 minutes to go on and subscribe to Paul. It takes another minute to like. And it's not. You don't even have to get, if you're horizontal, you don't even have to get vertical to do it. Right? You can just stay horizontal and knock it out.
And also, it's cheaper than the price of a cup of coffee per day.
That's right.
It's cheaper than breathing in and out. It's free. It's free. Oh no, you're talking about subscribing. Yeah, that's different. I thought you were talking about just following, but and then of course make sure you check out Soul Citizens, where you'll find Fast Cart, and sometimes you'll find Captain Sears Fun, and you'll find Fist to Face. And of course, if you're looking for fantastic music and good content, you can check out Fist on your. Do you go through New Soul on Twitch?
Yeah, it's yeah, New Soul is on Twitch. Yeah, sometimes basically I haven't been doing it in a while because I've been really busy. So like on Sundays I would usually do a live DJ set. Since Soul Citizen changed their time to 7 p.m., I would do like a 2-hour set beforehand and then raid them afterwards. So hopefully I'll be trying to start that up sometime soon again for the summertime. If you like some good jams, some good tunes, old school range and music, house, all of that stuff, you can check me out on Twitch. You can check our YouTube page out, New Soul on there. Just put in New Soul Star Citizen. That way you'll see us there and everything. If you like, look forward to our content. We're on Twitter as well, New Soul Sounds too as well. And again, look forward to that Lore Makers. Am I saying it right, Paul?
It's Complete History of Star Citizen Universe.
The Complete History of Star Citizen. I mean, yes, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And tomorrow is the 200th episode of Soul Citizens, and I'm on the People's Radio with my own DJ set on the third Friday of every month. So I'll be on this coming Friday. Mostly soul and R&B with some international soul and R&B. So yeah, check that out. Flight to Rhythm on the People's Radio.
Nice. I am not a DJ. I can carry a tune in a bucket. So you won't hear music from me. And Captain Serious Fun it's like all one word, Captain Serious Fun on Twitch and YouTube.
Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and you can also join our Patreon with Captain Serious Fun and my org, which is called A Pretty Cool Org. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. It's pretty cool. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few moments.
Mm.
Yes. You missed it. Missed a wonderful conversation of us talking about traditionally black foods, and my argument that it's traditionally black foods is just poor Southern food because everyone in the South was poor, and also fried chicken is good. I don't care who you are. I love fried chicken, and Face to Face has fried chicken, and he was like, "I'm gonna eat some fried chicken," and I was like, "I hate you right now. I haven't had any dinner yet."
Yeah, right.
Fried chicken sounds good. Like,
Share
oh,
with
that
the
looks
rest of
good
us.
too.
Look at him. Look at him.
I told you, listen, y'all asked for some, so take a picture.
I will also clarify, chat. There is such thing as bad fried chicken. You can screw up fried chicken. It's not like some
Yeah,
foods
you
you can't
gotta know
screw it
how to
up.
do
You
it.
got to know how to do it.
I'd still eat that though too. So
I mean, if you had to, yeah.
All right. Well, welcome back to the question and answer session for the Captain's Table. We'll move on to what we have so far. I'm going to pause the redemptions for so far, but there was a really good one earlier that I'll start with from YouTube, where let's see, where was it said? That's copyright. You can't say that. Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Is it really
Wait.
copyright? Because they're not gonna figure out the algorithm's not gonna figure out it.
I'm singing so
No,
well,
no, no.
Fish. You just
Yes,
don't
he's
know.
so-
I'm
he's
singing
so
so
good at
well.
You're so good at it. Okay. Yeah. All right. You should sing that River song.
Okay.
Man.
Fred had a good question in the YouTube chat. He says, "Do you think Star Citizen will be Chris Roberts' last big game, and will development go on way after release of 1.0 with updates till the dawn of time?" So I'll start with you.
I'll
on this
go
one.
first.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Captain.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Captain.
I was just going to say, when you say will Star Citizen be Chris Roberts' last big game, he's developing 2 games right now, one of which is anticipated to be a trilogy, right?
Right.
So Squadron 42, unless the unthinkable happens, will be 3 games, and then we'll have the persistent universe, right? So there's 4 games right there. And I do think that Star Citizen is alongside the Squadron 42 trilogy, and any spin-offs that might come from there. His magnum opus, his persistent grand vision that he will update until there's a new form of computing, right? And then if he's not too old and too tired, he'll try to put something on that, right? So when we get Ready Player One and we're in our suits, there'll be a version for that. But but until that mystical, magical, majestic day, yes, Star Citizen will be updated forever.
Right.
The simple answer, I think you're right. I'll just add on to that is that the Star Citizen is going to be updated as long as they can make money off of it. As long as they keep the servers running and keep people paying people, they'll update it. A great way of looking at it is WoW. WoW had a 1.0 release. Yeah. It's still out. It's still getting new releases. Like
EVE Online.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to what Captain Serious Fun, you almost made me say it, Paul. Captain Serious Fun said is that we may get a Squadron 42 movie, like a live action movie out of that. So that could be something coming down.
I would see that. I would say yes to everything that Cap said, as well as the point of fact that he touched upon hopefully everything goes well, and if Cliff ever has steps aside or anything like that, that whoever steps in has the same vision, and we don't see the pay to win nonsense get in there, because you never know. But I don't think that'll ever happen. But I look at the future for this game as optimistic, like you said, forever.
Yeah.
Because space is big.
It's
I mean, you can do a lot.
Well, and on top of that, there is 1,100 employees at CIG. I think any number of them might have a neat idea for a small little game to do out of the Star Citizen universe, like an expansion game. I've joked around in the past, like I could see a Star Citizen Privateer, like a version of like Star Citizen that's a single player experience that's like Star Citizen with some, but it's similar to the vein of Freelancer or Privateer, where you have a story and there's a beginning, middle, and end, or that sort of thing. So,
or to your point, it's less military and more Han Solo-ish.
Yeah,
right. But just telling that story.
I could see miniature versions of Star Citizen, like just the salvage or just the hauling, and doing it its own sort of mini sandbox or area, with little.
They could do a show like Adventures in Pyro.
Exactly. Like there's plenty of like things that CIG could do with Star Citizen, to the point where beyond just expanding Star Citizen, that I think that like the CIG has said from the they have never stopped saying that 1.0 is not the finish of the game. That's not that they're going to stop working on the game when they hit 1.0. It's just what CIG said way long ago. I'm talking like back when I had regular brown hair. Back when I didn't need glasses, CIG mentioned that they were trying to do was create a MVP, or minimal viable product. That was their main thrust, was to get that out there. And that's what 1.0 represents, is the minimum viable product of Star Citizen. Not the finished version, not the final version, just what they have ready for a initial release beyond alpha. So,
really quick, if you look at what Riot Games did with the animation company Fortiche, with Netflix, and did in terms of Arcane, that series, I absolutely think that CIG will be missing a trick if they don't do a high quality animation series, Tales of the Verse, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, or look at what they did with CD Projekt Red or CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk
with Edge Runners, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna have to push back. I don't want a movie. I want a series.
You don't want a movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I'm saying. An animated series.
We live in the time period of very good video game adaptations finally coming out, and
Fallout. We just watching that.
A lot of people are saying it's a 9 out of 10 series. It's a really good series. You had Last of Us, which came out earlier than that. You had the Mario movie, which did really well and did pretty good. Sonic movie, which I think the TV series. Yeah, Arcane. Edge Runners, like the movies. I personally believe that because this is like our generations, the generations of between like the 30 and the 50 range, all grew up with video games. So like we were in our teens, we were kids or teens when video games started to become popular. So we were influenced by games often more than movies and television shows. So now that our generation is starting to become producers and major directors, we can start to get younger generations.
We see it as IP.
Yeah,
right.
We get younger generations who are also kind of grew up in this thing to start making artistic products outside of just video games, and they've been influenced by those products. So they start to understand the value of it. Whereas like the Mario Brothers movie was just a movie using a name brand rather than a movie using the IP. So
I appreciate that you left Halo season 1 and 2 out of that. Thank you.
I have blanked that out of my memory intentionally. It's an example of the old style of what happened with video games, because it came out before all of this. Season 1 came out way before even Last of Us came out, and it was not good. But
I've been meaning to go back to Halo. I've been meaning to watch just for completionist sake. Yeah, because I know what people say about it, but I just want to know what happened. But if Star Citizen or Squadron 42 does have a spinoff, I'm hoping they can get like Scarlett Johansson or Samuel Jackson and because they will play almost anything.
I mean, it's a universe.
Who will be the magical Negro? That's the first.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I want to make it the show.
Listen. You know the rule. You know the rule is this is sci-fi, so it can't be an actual black person. It's got to be some alien, as Fist as was saying earlier.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
It's gonna have to be the Jean, or no. It's to be more
Tavari.
It's gonna be Tavari.
Yeah, like
Ooh, a magical brown bird.
Yes. And in CIG's fashion, since CIG has this bent on horror or other things, it's going to be a horror series about a magical brown bird that is giving advice, which gets everyone killed, in a monkey's paw sort of way. All right, moving on to the first question from Twitch, which is from Midnight Black SC, who asks, have you been playing Overdrive? And if so, what have you liked them to? What would you like them to do differently? Fist, have you been doing the Overdrive stuff?
I did the first part of it, and I did give thoughts on this before. To me, for the first part of Overdrive that I experienced, I wish it was more, let's say, intense, because we went down into the bunker. It was about 6 to 8 of us, and it was a lot of standing around. I'm just sitting there literally with my gun facing the elevator. Okay, elevator doors open, pop, pop, pop. That's it. And then go to the terminal to find out the number, yell out the number, and that was it. It was rinse and repeat. To me, I would like to see, and hopefully, later iterations of this, type of mission, that if you're gonna be in a bunker and you're gonna have, maybe maybe the game may see that, how many the size of your party, and it may scale. As well as other, they may implement other tactics or mechanics into that particular thing. Like, for example, maybe Xeno Threat cuts out the lights on you.
Mm-hmm.
They cut out the lights, hit flashbangs, smoke, all of that. And then next thing you know, y'all are disoriented and you're trying to figure out what's going on, shooting and stuff like that. So I would like something more that'll throw you, off guard or keep you on your toes, than just, okay, doors open, they come out, you shoot them, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Captain SF, have you done the Overdrive at all?
Yeah. Without spoiling Overdrive, I will say to Fist that the intensity that you're looking for comes later.
Oh, yeah, it does.
See, but I want it now. I'm that little girl that, like I told you from Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
I want it at the first part. So
I'm just saying, you keep playing and you will get to a space and place that is relatively intense.
All I can say is that when we got to that part that I know you're referencing there, Captain SF, it's there were piles of bodies outside of that elevator, and I had and when you have the piles of bodies and you have to reload and they're still coming at you, you go, I'm gonna die.
Okay, I'm excited. In the right way.
Yeah, it was. I'll kind of jump in and just say, like, part 4, the end of part 4 is my favorite PvE experience in Star Citizen, hands down.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say that. What can CIG learn? Was that the second part of the question, or what did I learn?
What do you think? What kind of suggestions would you give back to CIG? So, what would you have liked them to do differently?
Not much. I am enjoying the. They talked in. I can't remember whether it was ISC or CSL. They talked recently about changing the pace across phases. Right. I think that's very important. Right. You can't have something that's intense, because then it becomes a weird kind of boring. Right. Mm-hmm. Where if you ramp up the intensity, then hit a climax, drop it in a denouement, have some other experience, and then bring it back up and do it in a story basis. I like what they're doing. My only advice to them would be do a lot more of it. Have a lot more of it. But I like.
Can I jump back in, no cap? Because I apologize, because I really want to say this before I forget. One of the things that I said about Overdrive, and hopefully, more missions like this to come, that they have severe consequences on the verse.
Mm.
And I'm talking about the point of fact that if you don't do something like the cargo part that I know that that's coming up, if you don't prepare for this mission and Xeno threat comes in and now gets a hold of Stanton, it's going to be hard to take Stanton back.
Yeah.
And
That brings us all the way back to Citizen Con, and one thing that we saw and one thing that we didn't see, right? One thing that we didn't see at Citizen Con that I hope to see at this point is Tony Z and Quanta,
Mm.
Right, exactly.
And so I think when that stuff gets implemented, you're going to see not only economic consequences, but the ability to build on that to say, well, what does it mean that no one's bringing resources to this system for this system? Does it mean that it's in a starvation state? And how does that impact things on the ground? And I think they get to explore all of that as they build those systems out. And one of the things that we did see at CitizenCon that we haven't seen, to answer the question a little bit more fully, is there was a moment where at CitizenCon we saw somebody being arrested with like leg cuffs and handcuffs, like turned over and literally arrested, like Bounty Hunter 2.0. And that's a direction they could take this, right? They could take these mission platforms and say, hey, there's a rogue Xenothreat agent that you need to bring in, right? And that's the type of development I'd also like to see. Sorry, I can go on, but yeah.
At the end of CitizenCon, or after CitizenCon, didn't they say that they're going to have Tony Z on as a special, or for like a ISC or something like that, like sometime this year? Didn't it?
I don't
They said
remember that.
right?
I don't remember that. I think you
Oh,
dreamed
maybe
that.
I'm crazy. I thought they said that they didn't have Tony Z on, but they'll bring him on like for a special.
They may
It's
have.
really-
I'm joking. They may
Okay.
have, but that for me that would be you know that commercial that used to say we will sell no wine before it's time.
Yes, I do.
Right. That's why I don't want to see Tony Z until he's ready to drop something. Right. So
Right, I get you.
it was
I get you.
kind of good that they didn't have him at the last CitizenCon if he was just gonna tell us more about what he just told us, right? But if we see him again, I want him to be like, Quana, here it is, right? That type of thing.
Cap, a lot of people in the community are going to be like, "It's time," and then try to pour the bottle directly into empty the bottle into the mouth. So that's from an old Johnny Carson skit. People don't remember that. Is it my turn or people
Yes.
are?
Go ahead.
Okay. I haven't participated in Overdrive, but I've been listening to and tuning in to a lot of people. The reward is a suit, right? An armor suit, a suit of armor, and also the option to push a ship, the 7A or Mark II, I believe, or the oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Our first military ship, right?
So I'm not sure about those rewards. They're not really. I mean, because we had something similar for the F8 Lightning, F8C Lightning. We participated this, and you had to get a golden ticket or a platinum ticket in order to get that. So this seemed like a more involved version of that. But something they could do better is make the record keeping better, because some people are complaining on Spectrum about they completing a mission and it's not registering or stuff like that. So do that better. But yeah.
You say something about rewards, and I know Pops was talking about this last Thursday, which was a good point, though, was that I think, hopefully down the line that we don't have org mechanics in yet, especially with base building coming in, that they really look into giving us rewards in that field, something that you can put in your hangar, something you can put in your base, a plaque, or like we said, talked about, putting a patch on your jacket so you could, flaunt it around at Invictus or whatever,
My response was, I completed the Overdrive Initiative, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
There you go. I mean, no, I mean, but yeah, that's cool though.
I've said for many times that, like, I was gonna say months or years, but I think it's been months, that like the best thing CIG could do to get people interested is have a bar that only gets filled up when players do things. Doesn't matter what the things are. You give players a bar to fill up as a community, the community will like no life that bar. They don't care what that bar is about. They do not care about what it is. That bar needs to fill up because line goes up, gamer brain activate. That's all that exists.
He's not wrong. You're not wrong about that.
And if you give that to a community, the community will shout at each other. They will fucking be like, it could be the most simple thing, like pick up, waste from one location and bring it to another. Okay. People will write guides on the most efficient way to do waste. People will do entire streams about trying to pull the most waste out of all possible. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to have like a video. It's like how to min max waste production, waste hauling possible. Doesn't matter.
Paul, you activated the Raptor.
Yeah.
Give us Raptor. Yeah. Give us Raptor.
But like any time you could do that, players will do that. The other thing that the players will absolutely go nuts for is something that is physical in game, that is a memento of the event. That isn't something you have to wear. Like I like the CDF armor. I wear the CDF armor that I got from the original Xenothreat a lot, especially doing at the CDF events, because I'm like, hey, this is a nice little thing. But having something like a patch that you could put on a flight jacket or like on a jacket or some kind to show, hey, I've been part of CDF, Operation Overdrive, this like all of these different events that are happening in game, players will do it because like that's the cool thing that people like to like talk about. Like, yeah, I was there. Like, I still remember when I played WoW. I took a couple of months off of WoW. I played it when it was first launched, and then I took a couple months off. When I came back, I logged in, and there were these giant floating pyramids over every major city. And I was like, what is going on? I have no idea what is happening. And someone in chat will probably point out, I never remembered what it was, but it was such a strange experience to see like full max level characters running into these cities being like, what is happening? I feel like I was walked into like an ongoing event, like a disaster, like a natural disaster just went off.
Right.
Nax with was whatever was saying, the Naxxramus, and but that was cool. That still sticks in my brain because of that sort of event, sort of thing. So go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. With that event, was that event like a one-time thing and one and done?
Yeah. It happened over the course of a couple of weeks, so like a month, and it never happened again. I don't believe so.
That's the thing that I'm talking about with. Yeah. See, one of the things that I looked at, what intrigued me about Ashes of Creation was the point of fact that they talked about the world being dynamic, where like an event will happen, and it will never happen again. So you have to be there in order to experience. So that kind of taps into that FOMO with us, So that's going to engage you into the game, and that's what I want to see in Star Citizen with consequences. So folks will be like, man, hold up. If Xenothreat or the Vandal, they're gonna invade this system, I gotta be there. I gotta drop what I'm doing or whatever it is. Cause I always think that, Vandal comes in, listen, everybody, whoever got beef, y'all might just squash it, go there and handle that first, and then go back to whatever you're doing. Because if they come through and y'all ain't prepared, then yeah, that system is basically gone.
Yeah, the operation support.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I have a quick question before you go to your next question. But go ahead.
Yeah. All I was going to say is like, because all of that being said, those are things that CIG can do to improve like people getting in there. Like, I would say this box mission, the last one. What I would say is to make that line go up mission. Make that something that's going on over the course of the entire event. And be like, it's a resupply mission. So they need like medical supplies, food, and whatever. And so you just have a certain number of medical supplies, a certain amount of food, and players can buy those products or find those products and then deliver them to the station and get the percentage to tick up. You know, the Helldivers 2 thing where you do 40 minutes of going through literal hell, you know, blood and viscera everywhere, only to see liberation rate tick up 0.002%. And you're like, we did it! You know, I just spent 14 million credits to get to bring an entire whole sea of food to the station, and it moved the percentage by 0.1%. Victory, you know, because people will do that. People would do that for like the reputation or just for the event. They won't necessarily do it because it's the right rewards or anything like that. And the other thing that I would say is more of part 4, last part of part 4, please. That was amazing. It's the best part of the whole thing. It is the first time I felt scary. I felt scared about the AI. Like, so. Yeah, go ahead, Fastcar. You said you had something.
So yeah, this is a non-sequitur, but who here saw the eclipse? Either online or in person? I saw the eclipse online. I was watching Disney Plus. I was watching NASA Stream, and I was watching the third place. But yeah, I got to see the eclipse. And my favorite thing that I saw from the eclipse was the view from the space station. Following the path of the eclipse as it hit the Earth, going on the ground of the Earth. I thought that was cool. So yeah, the eclipse.
You know the funniest part about that whole live stream? I saw one comment and it said fake when they said that. The funniest thing out of all. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
I did see it. I saw it in person. They actually they all of the schools outside of Austin, around Austin, shut down for the day. And my school's district said, no, we're not shutting down. I was like, but literally everyone else is shut down. Just give us the day off. So instead we had a sort of half day, and then we spent about like an hour preparing and going out to go see the eclipse, and it was cloudy. So it wasn't perfect, but I was able to see it with my own eyes, which was really, really neat. So, all right. Next question comes from Steve That Answer, who said, since March didn't say a thing about the Polaris, do you think it'll be released at Invictus? Fastcart, do you think we're going to see the Polaris at Invictus?
If we don't see the Polaris in Invictus, we'll see an update for the Polaris about doing Invictus, in my opinion. So yeah, so one way or the other.
Got myself?
I do not think we will see the Polaris at Invictus.
Okay.
I think that the capital ship stuff is always a little bit more than they think it's going to be. So.
Fist?
I think we'll see a hologram like we always have. You know, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents on that.
I'm the most optimistic, Paul.
I'm going to be optimistic. I say I'm going to be the optimistic one and say that I think we will see it, the exterior. I think it'll like be in like its own hangar, and you'll be able to walk around it and be like, ooh, look at the exterior, but you won't be able to get inside.
Like they did with the Idris that time?
Yeah, like they did with the Idris. They've done it with other ships in the past at like IAE or Invictus, where like
I would love to, because we own one, me and my dad. But you know, I
don't think it's going to be flyable. I think the Polaris needs multi-crew. And while there is a lot of strides in multi-crew that they even with 3.23, because I did the engineering with Space Tomato earlier today, we kind of felt it out. And the quick and dirty of it is none of you are prepared for engineering. Even when it gets better, you're going to require like twice the number of crew that you currently have for every ship just to keep yourself from exploding. So
this is what I say to Fastcart all the time about the bandwidth, though. And I always get them. I say Fastcart, because when we saw it, and I was like, man, it's gonna be a headache, bro. It's gonna be a headache.
Hey, when I bought it was smaller. That's what I keep saying. When I bought it was smaller. But Paul, I love it when it's quick and dirty. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Fun fact: do you know what DOS stands for?
What?
What stands for?
DOS, for MS-DOS.
Disk operating system.
Nope.
Oh.
That's what I thought.
The original version of DOS was a quick kind of copy of another operating system. But because it was a copy and not it was similar, because of how IP laws work, it was technically its own standalone because it wasn't using direct code from that other operating system. And the person who wrote that operating system called it QDOS, which was Quick and Dirty Operating System.
Yeah.
So when Microsoft said we need an operating system for our new computer, we need an operating system, I think it might have been IBM or something like that. But when they were looking for an operating system, and when Microsoft came to this guy and was like, "We're buying your operating system from you," and he goes, "Okay." So they changed it from QDOS to MS-DOS, and that's but in reality, DOS stands for Dirty Operating System. So
that fits.
Yeah.
And then it became Windows XP, became Windows ME. Those are pretty dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, ME was bad, really bad.
All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, with someone finding the right sequence in the new character creator to make Jared, what do you think he will do with it?
Oh my God.
Wait, what? Say that again.
I'm not worried about what Jared would do with it. I'm worried about what the community and everyone else would do with it, especially people at CIG.
So people have been making copies of Jared all over the place because of that, with the character creator. And someone apparently found the perfect version to create an almost one-to-one of Jared. And I guess Jared confirmed that or not, but
yeah, he did. Yeah, he let out an expletive confirming that I think that's what he thinks is the winner. That was on. I can show you the Reddit post, but yeah.
There will be a website that will hold all of these in repository, right?
Yeah.
So the best Chris Roberts, the best Jared, the best
Sean Tracy,
Beyonce, Sean Tracy,
right.
All of the ones that there will be some website you'll go to download the real nice version of somebody that you want to be or whatever.
Yeah, all games have that sort of, some of those like niche sites where you can go get the specific mod for a specific thing or a specific like unique asset that you can't get anywhere else. So, but yeah,
put the link in chat.
I couldn't tell you with what the community's what he's gonna do with it. He's gonna use it himself, I guess, and I could see them using it in. I think the problem that he has, probably why he said "well, fuck," was because the ISC team are billed with trolls equally trolly as Jared. I think they're gonna use that character export in a couple of ISCs. So Jared might see himself in a couple of
at the
shots.
very least, we'll see maybe a presentation of different Jareds at the end of next ISC, like they did for the green screen on the cell phone thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have that part. I have a theory.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know how in ISC this season they've had the Zeus suit guy who's been running around and doing stuff, right? I think at the very end he's gonna remove his helmet, and when he removes his helmet, it'll be Jared.
Ooh, okay.
It'll be Jared at the end. Yeah.
I was scared when he did that with the green screen.
Yeah.
I was literally scared because I was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?"
He was scared too. I think he was scared too.
I listen. I kind of throw it back. I've been a mod back in the day for like a Left 4 Dead server, and I've seen some of the most, because like Left 4 Dead, you could like, they had a thing where you can put up what they call splashes or like little tags on the walls, and you give people freedom to do that. Oh, I mean, some of the wildest things. That's why I always say gamers' minds are one of the most dirtiest places in the world.
What's cool about the character customizer experience to this point has been the number of people who are now running around the verse with their helmets off to show the diversity of the different looks. Everybody was walking around with their helmet before because it really wasn't you. It really wasn't how you wanted to do it exactly. But there's a lot more of a unique flavor across the verse in my experience since then. That's been fun.
And the side effect of that is more trips to the hospital because people forget to put the helmet back on when they go back into space.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think we all answered most of that. And is there anybody else who has their hot takes of what Jared's going to do with it? No. All right. Next question comes from Steve That Answer, who said, "What ship or ships do you think are coming to Invictus, and what ship would each of you want CIG to make?"
Invictus is a military holiday, so yeah. I think we have enough military ships. So yeah, I'm in for IE personally.
I mean, I'll throw mine out there since we have one. I would have to say I think the Zeus variant, one of the Zeus variants that I think it was kind of military. I think it was
A1.
Like
no, not the A1. That's the Spirit. MR, yeah.
The MR, the Marquis.
Yeah. So that's to me I would like to see.
I'd like to
when
they say will we see it in Invictus, do they mean like in a hologram, or will be a new ship to purchase?
New ship to purchase is what I'm
and be in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I can see the MR being in because the Zeus is in its called polish and ready or ready polish phase or something like that. They mentioned that not even a phase. They just said it's being polished. So
yeah, that's me too. The Zeus and the Liberator, which have been moved forward, I think.
Yeah, the Zeus and Liberator would be good. I think what I'd like to see is the Gladiator Mark II, the Gladiator to get the Hornet treatment, because the Gladiator is legitimately one of the coolest ships in the game.
Would people buy or fly that still?
It's got
a Gladiator in the verse.
It has a hardcore following. I found out that the Gladiator has some of the coolest lore in the verse. It is 100%. It has an extensive lore for the ship. There's not just references, not just like stories about it, like lore about it. There are like a bunch of different stories that have been told about it, like that are in the universe of like where it was used. There are quotes. There's a Silas Kerner quote, the guy who created Consolidated Outland, because he hates that ship with a fiery passion. He has opinions about the Gladiator. He calls it like a piece of garbage for weekend warriors who want to play cowboy. It has got enough lore and like backstory that it legitimately could like be its own like documentary. In terms of, I did like a 25-minute video just on it. And after I did that, a lot of people came out of the woodwork to me and were like, I really want them to improve the Gladiator. It's such a cool ship. And I was like, damn, this thing's got a following. It has got a cult following. So,
Paul, I think I'm going to change my mind. I just thought of a ship that I would like to see.
Okay.
I'm hoping to see the Mariah Carey.
Okay. The Mariah
Carey.
Yeah, the Mariah Carey. Are you sure you're not?
You're gonna run that. You're gonna run that joke into the ground.
I mean, I'm all for the militarized version of the whole series, the whole Beyonce.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to do that one.
They're dueling.
By the way, that's the way that's spelled is the whole B, and it's called the Anse version. It's it's by the legendary ship designer Anse, Brandon Anse, Beyonce.
And it was designed by someone with the initials J and G.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of Project Cowboy. What is it? Cowboy Curtis. Cowboy. Oh, why am I blanking on the name of it? The name of the album.
Yeah.
Cowboy Carter.
Cowboy Carter. Yeah. Good album, by the way. All right. Next question comes from Shimpasta, who asks, when is Fast Cart's 2 Banu Merchantman giveaways? Yeah, when are you going to do that, Fast Cart?
No. 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 See, people keep saying, I got that ship early. Mine is 240 because I use the CCU game. So I mean, even if I wanted to give away, it bounced my account because I use a buyback token or a ship to upgrade it from. So it is bound to my cap. There's no way I can get rid of it. CIG could, I guess, but there's no way for me to get rid of it. So there's no way anyone else can get it. So sorry, not sorry. Put it that way.
Okay, so next time I'm going on Soul Citizens, I'm going to announce that the Fast Cart is so generous from me coming back onto the Soul Citizens that he's going to give away 2 Banu Merchantmans for everybody in there.
Not at 650. No, you done that when it was 300 or 400 maybe. Not at 650. You're on your own for that. No.
So Fast Cart can't condition out, but he can't take it.
You know what you do, Paul? What you do, Paul? Make Fast Cart behave. You do that.
Yeah.
So listen, you tell one bad joke.
I'm making you.
Guess what? You gotta do that. You gotta do that giveaway.
All right, so Pastor asks, do you feel after release of Star Citizen, CIG will continue to mold the game to get it to CR's vision? I think we already answered that question earlier with the YouTube one, but I think so. I think we all agree Star Citizen will continue to evolve. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't expect that it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it will continue to get better. In fact, I wrote a post about that on Spectrum asking about the $6 million pledge level for 100 systems. You know, and I was like, just looking for an update. Like, do you plan on 500 systems over the long term, 400 proc gen and 100 curated? Is it no longer a consideration? Is it not possible? Are you thinking some other way? But it was like trying to give them space for this question that's been asked now twice, which is it going to be around for a long time? The development always going to happen. And there's been like 250 responses or whatever, but there's nothing from CIG because I think that's a big pillar for them, and it would come in the form of an announcement. They probably wouldn't want to do it on Spectrum, but I just wanted to raise it as an issue. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that I also think that CIG's decision to call their first initial release version of Star Citizen 1.0 is going to bite them in the ass. Because it's already bringing up people like, so we're not going to get 100 systems. We're not going to get all the things. And people panicking about like Star Citizen being done developing. And they're like, but Star Citizen isn't even close. It's like, they're not going to stop when, they reach 1.0. Even if 1.0 is only 5 systems, it's not like they're throwing in the towel and then just calling it and going home. Like, this game is going to continue to evolve.
It's unfortunate that, whenever 1.0 does come out and then, whatever system it does have, there'll be people, especially in the media or different websites saying, CIG, it's a fraud. They promised 100 systems. They didn't deliver. And, you can't win either way.
No.
Even if the systems are like, more jam-packed than a typical game would have of a similar size, CIG can't win.
No, which is one of the reasons why I was hoping for them to say something to the effect of, it's beta, and making a big deal about it being beta, and then talking about how they're just not wiping anymore. So, like, they effectively, launched without having to deal with it.
But people are automatically going to say they're using a beta excuse like they use the alpha excuse. It's not an excuse. That's just the way game development works. But yeah.
But no, I mean, and I think more people would be okay with that, just because, like, you have games like Warframe, which had been out in beta for like 7 years in beta when it was practically done. I think only recently, in the last couple of years, is actually released, hit that release out of early access. So.
And you had a community over there who got that.
Yeah.
And understood it. So.
And I think you'd have the same thing, because it's not the only game that did that. Like, Kerbal Space Program was in beta for years. DayZ was in beta for years. So, and they were basically playable. And most of them, those games had straight up mods being built for them while they were still in beta. So, Tarkov is still in beta, yet it's still people treat it like a real game, like a released game. So, but I think they've already that Pandora's box has already been opened. So you can't put the genie back in the bottle with this one, CIG. So you're just gonna have to live with the announcing 1.0.
Oh, but you know what was left inside? Hope. Hope was left inside.
No, it's a mistranslation. It's actually cope.
Hopian? Hopian were left inside? Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's a horrible surprise.
All right, I'll ask Captain Serious Fun. I want you to answer this question first. This is from Midnight Black SC, who asks: CIG has said that their vision for bed logging has changed. What do you think will change for us?
Yeah, this is a hot button topic right now. Dig That 32 did an outstanding small piece on that. Griff talked about it today on Soul Voices. What will change for us, given the fact that the developer who said it said, and something to the effect, don't quote me, of the current bed logging is not in the vision, the ongoing vision for Star Citizen, doesn't mean that bed logging is going away. Right? It doesn't mean that we have a bunch of beds in our ships that are going to have no purpose. It doesn't mean that that they're going to have to remodel all the ships to take the beds out. Right? What it does mean is that some of the negatives, this is my take on it, some of the negatives that come from bed logging, people combat logging by jumping in their beds, things like that, that's going to change. Right? Where what it means to log in your bed will change. There may be primary logouts and secondary logouts, where, going back to your hab means one thing, logging out on your ship means another, and they're not the same. It might mean that logging out on your bed is a 5-minute timer, right? What I heard the devs say is that this is going to change fundamentally, but not that it was going away. Mm-hmm. And so I think these are some of the things that they're going to be looking at to subvert negative gameplay in the main. So,
I agree. Basco?
I can't say it any better than what Captain Serious Fun said, so I can leave it with Captain Serious Fun. I'll bow to him.
Fist?
Wow, let's have that every show, Fast Guard. Let's go. I like that.
All right.
You would like that, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
I would reiterate what Cap said. I've played a game recently with Griff Gaming and a couple of folks called Mortal Online 2. And what they have in there is a timer, just like you just mentioned, where if you're out in the world, there's, I think, about like maybe a 2-minute or so timer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think if you're in combat or something like that, you've got to get away. And if you're getting away, then I think it's like 5 minutes or something like that. So it's like safe areas. Okay, it's 10 seconds. Shut down. Boom. Okay, gone. And I think that's a good way, because it is difficult when somebody's trying to bounty hunt and you got that person right on that, the cusp of blowing them up, and then they just say, okay, well, let me jump in this bed and get out of here, or log off or whatever. And I think that is a disheartening part of the game that unfortunately that is in there. So I'm glad to see that is being rectified with this, so yeah, I agree with you on that, Cap.
So I can't. I can't pick up on that because I'm not going to bow to Fist. But EVE Online has a system where you disconnect or log out. Your ship will be there for a few minutes and then warp away to a safe spot. But if you're in a Titan or the capital class ship, that'll stay in position for a while longer. I can see CID maybe implementing something like that, like the owner of an address or something like that, logging out. That ship will have to be persistent because other people may be on the ship for while he's gone or they're gone.
Bed logging already had big questions to answer before this statement from the dev or before it got attention. You know what? And those are only going to increase with engineering. When you start putting engineers and mechanics on your ship, and they need to go stop playing the game, right? They go log out into bed, right? If they log out into bed and then your ship explodes and you haven't pulled it back out of a hangar, where do they generate when they come back into the game? Like, there's a whole bunch of questions that need to be answered anyway, right? So I think it's smart for them to be looking at it again, revisiting it, but I don't imagine that they'll do it in such a way where beds become obsolete in ships that they've already built out. So
Yeah, I agree with you on the Cap. That those are some concerns that I often had, because the Orion is my favorite ship in the game, and I often think about the Orion being out in deep space, and like Fast Car said, it's once you log out, it's still there. So I'm thinking of the Orion as something that's a shift, So folks, if I'm in test squadron and folks are on that ship, and we got people who in the EU who got a time zone. They come on the ship, they log in, and they start going, and then I log off because for whatever. And I think that's a big concern that we have to really think about. How is that mechanic going to work?
I'm going to have to hire security to look after my band and restaurant when I'm not online.
Because that is a very valuable point, because when you think about it, like you said, those types of ships out there, this is where like the Nautilus really comes into play.
Uh,
what are your thoughts, Paul?
I have a secret fear, and but I also am at the point I'm just going like, I have no idea what's going on with this. Like, I honestly, because the thought that I had was, I always thought that the way that the logout was going to work was that beds were required for you to log out so that your ship would disappear while you're in deep space, to allow for players who want to explore the universe a place so that they can safely disappear and then come back, so they don't have to go back to a station at the end of their day. So they can literally go out into the deepest, darkest parts of space and stay out there as long as they have resources. Because that's so many people's visions and hopes and dreams for Star Citizen, and even CIG's visions, that I thought that was where they were going. And the idea being that your bed is your safe spot. It is your bonfire in Dark Souls games. It's your console in Dead Space. I think Dead Space is where you save it. Maybe I'm thinking Alien Isolation, but it's a save point, a save point. And with them saying we're gonna have to kind of rethink about it, my only thought was, please don't be Rust. Please don't be Rust. Please don't be Rust. Please don't be Rust. And for anybody who doesn't know how Rust works, Rust is persistent all the time. So if you log out in the middle of nowhere, your character will just to the ground, and you will look like you're sleeping, and your character will stay there until you either wake up or someone finds you and kills you, and then you have to, when you wake up again, you wake up as a new character. So
yeah, that's hardcore right there. That's way too hardcore. That's rough.
That's what I'm afraid about, is if they did Rust method, basically like, oh yeah, cool, you can log out anywhere you want to in deep space, but your ships can stay there. So
that's a job.
Yeah,
that's a job at that point.
Yeah, and everyone hates offline raiding, because that's the thing that happens in Rust, is that people just won't attack you if you're online. They'll wait until you're asleep, and like they'll come in at 3:00 in the morning when you're not there, and then break into your place, kill everybody, take your stuff, and leave. And it's the most unengaging gameplay that you can have in a game like
right. It drives people to not play with each other, right?
Yeah, it's not a very good gameplay mechanic, because people will avert like danger, like what is it called? Something like aversion to like conflict kind of thing. Just do everything they can to get around it. And I hope CIG doesn't take that route, because it's hardcore, man. Like I don't want that kind of. It's not conducive to cooperation or to player playing. I don't think they will, but that is what I fear. The thing is that beds no longer are needed. You can log out wherever you want to, but now your ship's going to persist no matter what. And it's like, okay, I don't think that's going to happen. But I've always had this voice in the back of my head that says, beds are for a rest bonus. XP rest bonus in an MMO, but there's no XP in Star Citizen, so it's like your stamina won't go down as much if you rest 8 hours. Your food and water won't go down as much. So beds are no longer a log out.
That's
it's
how
just
you
a
gain
game
stamina. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, or it's medical bed 0.5.
Yeah.
Right.
You heal over time. So there could be other means that they could use the bed for and just not worry about it. And you can still have a thing where you pop out in the middle of deep space. You don't need a bed. You're good. We can persist your ship, or we can put you into that, and we're fine, and you can come back. And the bed is now just a perk rather than a necessity. But
let me ask you guys a question though, since this is talking about this for like cap ships, and I can understand cap ships may be persistent. Will they have like an alert system through your phone or something like that through an app?
Ooh, that's the dream. I mean, we are supposed to
have people driving home fast from work and all this crazy
accidents. Car crashing happening.
Right.
No, we are supposed to be getting a Star Citizen app, but we don't know what the app entails, because that's part of the not Kickstarter funding, crowdfunding goals as well. We are supposed to get an app, so we don't know what's going to be on that app. Maybe something along those lines. We don't know, but yeah, but what Cap said, that's going to be dangerous. Like Star Citizen fan killed in a car crash. You don't want that to happen.
No.
You don't want that to happen.
I agree.
All right, let's move on to the next question. We've got 4 more questions. One is from Gin and Tonic, who asks, CitizenCon Montreal in 2025. I think we kind of touched on this a little bit. I know, I personally, I am entirely okay with Montreal being the next one, but I don't think it's going to happen. They're too new of a company, or too new as part of CIG to kind of put that on their shoulders to because it's not just Turbulent wouldn't just have to deal with CitizenCon. They'd also have to deal with every single employee who would be going to CitizenCon to do presentations, to be put up in an office, to get those sorts of resources. And I don't know if they have the full HR sort of set up in Montreal yet, like they do in the other places. So, because they legitimately, Austin has effectively a parent. Their office, they have an office manager whose sole job is to just take all of the BS of office work off of them to take care of any of the issues they have during the day. So people don't get lunch, they're working late, they're working too late, so they're the person who's we're gonna get food, we're gonna get things scheduled and make sure everyone has the breaks, so that kind of stuff. You had to go to a hospital, you had to go to the doctor to get something checked up. We'll not necessarily file everything for you, but you just tell us what's going on. We'll do our best to help you out, that kind of thing. Then to smooth things over to make it better. And everyone I've talked to who works at CIG Austin says they're amazing. They make the job so much easier just by doing that. And I know that they're probably not the only person who has that sort of job in CIG. So if that person doesn't exist, if that position doesn't exist at Turbulent right now, that could be a problem. So I don't know.
It's not that Montreal and the Montreal Convention Center, the Palais de Congrès de Montréal, it's not, it doesn't fail to meet the needs.
No.
That
Right.
is a great convention center. And a lot of stuff can get done there. I think Paul's right. It comes down to how Turbulent has been built out to support the work. Right? Because the purpose of doing this is to have a home team, whether it's the Austin home team or the Manchester home team, that can own a lot of it, right? And that can receive employees and support them. So you can't do that right now. You're probably not going to see it immediately at Montreal. But so I would say no to 2025 as well, but I would not rule out Montreal forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Maybe not 2025, but I'll be fine with them just rotating between Austin and Manchester for a while, and then as a surprise, put Montreal in this rotation eventually. Maybe not next year though, but that's what people are hoping. Either way, Montreal eventually.
when we get the Far Cry version of Star Citizen in 2030, that'll be made by the ex Ubi devs that work at
Oh God.
So, all right. Next question comes from Fastcart, who asks, when you have big balls such as the ones CIGs have, how often does one manscape? Before anyone tries to answer this question or get on to Fastcart, I am not doing free plugs. Manscaped, if you want me to plug your content,
I was getting ready to say,
you're going to have to pay me. Okay? So I'm available. I have a rate, which is very reasonable. Just call me. Okay? So I'm not, so I would answer the question, Fastcart, but I'm not plugging Manscaped. So, all right.
Well,
Next question.
the whole reason why I asked the question, because if they manscape often enough, they won't be as prone to tripping.
Yeah, but see, now you're plugging Manscaped, like that would be a great bit if I could also say, and with using my code, you could get 50% off and the free blah, blah, blah. And
if you want to send me a product to review, I'm available.
There we go.
Just send it to me, and I'll be happy to.
that's Fastcart saying, I got big balls, so I can let you know.
Oh, and now chat is confused because the people who came in after that comment is wondering,
what are we even talking about?
Paul, you got to learn how to not feed the beast. You got to learn how to not
feed me, Simo.
I'm feeding him for content. Fastcart is a content machine. He can't not make content. He can't turn it off.
You're correct. You are correct. But it comes with consequences.
Yeah, I know. Demonetization.
Yes, gin and tonic. Yes, gin and tonic. That's all I say.
All right, so we have two more questions. Jaded Stinik asks, what are the odds of Gary Oldman attending CitizenCon, but not as a guest, and no one recognizes him through his makeup?
The odds of him attending, mediocre. The odds of him attending and no one recognizing him because he's in makeup, that may be higher.
Right.
Astronomical. Yeah.
The only way you can tell if it's Gary Oldman under who is that Jimmy out costume.
The Jimmy costume. No, yeah. I got one for you, Paul. Gary Oldman shows up at CitizenCon, but as his Fifth Element character.
Yes. But the only way you can tell it's Gary Oldman is ask him to say Admiral.
I get that reference.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, he had problems saying that he was tripping over the words during his shoot.
Yeah. During Squad 42, the shoot, he couldn't say Admiral Bishop. He would say Admiral, so he just said, "This is Bishop." So because he literally couldn't say Admiral for some reason while doing it. So in the voice he was doing. So. I honestly, though, I think we've talked about this. I don't think Gary Oldman would show up. Not because he wouldn't. I think Gary Oldman is a fantastic man, right. And I think if people could get in touch with him and say how important it would be, he would show up because he's that kind of guy. But I also think that he's a very busy actor who's got a lot of important things to do, and it's impressive that they got him for Squad 42 in the first place. So
the one person I would expect over Gary Oldman showing up is Henry Cavill because he's a gamer. Yeah, so I would expect before Gary Oldman, I would expect to see Henry Cavill, but Henry Cavill is also busy. He's doing not The Witcher. He's doing Highlander now for crying out loud.
And he's the showrunner for the new Warhammer 40K series that's coming out on Amazon. So. My joke was going to be JRDF offer him free minis, and he might free versions of Star Citizen ships to show up, and he'll do it for that. He would. He'd do it, and you'd have him just have him painted at your booth there. Just be like, oh yeah, this is our professional painter. It's his name's Henry. Just watch him paint. All right. Last question. This is a long one, and it's kind of rambly, so I'll try to kind of summarize it. Space Trucker 85 asks, what do you think is 3.23 going to change for engineering gameplay for single shooter ships? I've seen what it does for multiplayer ships, but single player. I don't think they're adding engineering 1.0 yet. I think they're going to expand quantum travel time, so you have to work your ships and change fuses out as a single seater, like the Prospector or the Vulture. I think the question is,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's the
yeah,
question.
it's because it's a long one.
I mean, the first question is, what do you think engineering will change for single shooter ships? I think that's
the main question. I was gonna say, like, is how do you think engineering is going to change for single seater ships? And do you think that's going to change dramatically for like 3.23? The answer is engineering's in testing. It's in the same sort of testing that Master Modes was in like August of last year. Master Modes has been tested for like more than 6 months before it actually made it into the game. They had multiple test phases through it, and this is just phase 1 of engineering, and it's still in PTU. So it's not even a full release of that engineering test. So
is he also asking in a sense of question of, okay, well, how much do I now have to pay attention to my ship?
I think so.
And
I think
all
his
of
question, is the experience going to change for single seater ships once engineering comes out? Is that going to change how you deal with your ship as a
Because
solo
wear and
ship?
tear is going to be a very big thing then now, and you're going to have to pay attention more to it than you did in the past. I mean, just if that's the case, yeah, you know, you got to pay attention to your surroundings, especially if you're in pyro. If you're gonna be doing that, a lot of stuff out there, out there, and everything. So you're gonna have to think about those consequences. That's what the game is, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it'll be interesting to see how CIG, what direction they want to go. The way they're going right now, for those of you who have not been in Wave 1 and have not been in Arena Commander and have not played some of this engineering rollout, is there's a lot of fuse-centered activity, right? So there's a screen to manage, which gives you information, and there's fuses to swap out, right? Which keeps certain things going in terms of certain systems, right? So how do you do that on a single person ship? Well, you either have a screen and a couple of fuses in the cockpit for them to manage, or you put fuses on the outside of the ship, which now makes them vulnerable to people coming by your ship and pulling out a fuse before you take off, and now you don't have a fuse. So it depends on how they want to manage it. But those are the two ways, given what we've already seen in experimental modes in Arena Commander, those are the two ways they could do it for a single person ship. It'd be inside or outside the ship. My guess is that it'll be more about component management and maybe a screen that shows you component deterioration than it will be about engineering as a dynamic activity that's sort of multiplayer, right? So it'll be more like, hey, I fly my Gladius all the time with my components at a maximum of 80% of their capacity, and I get the most use out of them and they last the longest. Or I'm a type of person who flies at 100%, and I'm always looking at that screen because it generates a random number generator chance that they're going to break down at any given time because I'm always maxing them out, right? Or something like that. That's my guess.
So I often thought that I thought it was an ISC where we saw like when they talked about repair, and it was a small ship, and they saw the person out there EVAing in space, and they had to pull out one of the coolers or like hit the gun and pull it out. So I often thought that engineering gameplay was really going to be in that aspect.
Yeah,
of
component management. I think that's
really
exactly
just
right.
a lot of like,
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Go ahead, Fast Cart.
I think in the future this will be a great example for when the Endeavor comes out, because we'll have, like you mentioned, mods, and the Endeavor Super Collider is going to be enhancing or changing mod. So how will that come into play when it comes to single player ship? The pilot or whoever, maybe you'll take it to Cousin Crows, or maybe you can do it by yourself, but you'll be swapping out mods on the ship. So that'll be a component, no pun intended, of the engineering gameplay. And I think I killed chat, but they seem to recover. But
Yeah.
Paul, I just want to say, emancipation mode. You have three brothers on the on your show tonight.
It should just be called control mode. It should just be called kind of primary control mode. That's on. I agree with you that it's because even the name, because CIG's bad at naming things, just doesn't make any sense. Like, what is it doing? What is it? Why is it called that? It's a bad name.
Like hex penetration?
Yeah, I mean, Hex Penetrator is a better name. I'd okay with it be called Hex Penetrator mode. At least then I'd be like, all right, cool, that's just a cool name. Let's go for it.
Yeah, right. But Paul, that was the last question, right?
Well, I'll answer it real quick about his last question. One other thing I'll say is that I don't think engineering is going to matter as much on single player ships or solo ships, but I do think it's going to have a lot of impact on maintenance and maintaining your ship, as I think a lot of the folks here were saying. But I don't think you're going to have to actively like pull fuses out for your ship. But I do think that you will have like relays that if a relay gets damaged, you won't have a way to fix it in game. So you're going to have to quickly like, reroute power this direction and that kind of stuff. There'll be some minor effects for your smaller ships, but it won't matter as much compared to your larger ships, where like that will become more important. So, all right. So what were you gonna say, Fast Cart?
So now we covered the last question, Paul. I just have a question for you.
Okay.
Did we make you happy? Did we perform well enough for you during the stream? Are you
Did we make it magical?
With our attendance here? Because Paul, Face to Face, Captain Serious Fun, and I are here for you.
I haven't even seen the movie, and I know that's a reference from that movie. Oh, thank you so much for joining us here today, all of you who've been watching, and if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow, like the video if you enjoyed it, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. Make sure you're checking out Soul Citizens. Make sure you're checking out New Soul Sounds. Is that what it is? Or is New Soul Plays? New Soul Sounds. New Soul Sounds on Twitch and New Soul on YouTube. And check out Captain Serious Fun and his brother Captain Super Fun on youtube.com/TheAstroPub and AstroPub. Yes, I'm here at the AstroPub. He's now taking over the show.
Wow. You almost had it. You almost had it.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. youtube.com/Captain Serious Fun and twitch.com/twitch.tv/Captain Serious Fun, right? And also on TikTok. Check out those hot space opinions, and I have to watch that one on Star Wars Galaxies. I didn't know that was released yet, so I'll have to take some time to do that. What was I going to say? Thank you for watching. Love your faces, and like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
Bye, all.